What's your podcast about?
It's called the Footballista Podcast, but it's spelled like American football and then ISTA.
Mm-hmm.
But I talk about soccer.
That's right. You told me. Yeah.
I just did it because I like it, but I had no idea that there were this many people that were already prevalent in Baton Rouge media that really I love soccer.
I know. So I know Gordy does.
They didn't have a way of expressing that anywhere until my show. So now I'm like,
Hester's a big soccer guy too.
oh yeah, I'm trying to get a hold of him too. He was pretty much the first person in the office I connected with. I was like, you're a fan too?
Of what?
Soccer.
Oh.
I told him it's been kind of a big week for me for the podcast. 4 episodes down, I have 2 guests, and I want to keep that momentum going. I enjoy having guests way more than just when I'm by myself. I just feel inclined to talk about.
Can I make the first line of the show this morning? What the fuck is wrong with Joe Biden? Oh, wait, we're on, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I guess you just did.
Sorry about that, y'all. I didn't mean to drop an F-bomb this ever.
Good morning, everybody.
That's on me. Sorry. If you want Donald Trump gone, put him away. Don't bring him up. A full year removed from your election being certified.
I agree.
And I don't mean to take that out on the president himself. Those are strategists and handlers and speechwriters and everything else. But if you want him gone, why do you continue to insist on creating relevance around him? I don't understand. For the life of me, I don't understand that.
Could not agree more. The more we talk about Trump, the more it fuels his flames. Just let him go. Just quit talking about him.
It's 2022.
It's kind of like
that means
Voldemort.
midterms.
It's
What?
kind of like Voldemort. Just don't say his name.
I don't know what that. I think that's a Harry Potter reference.
You're right about
My
that.
daughter watches Harry Potter, so I've heard of it.
It's worth a watch, even if you're like not all about it. It's just like if you like
Love the
cinema
book, love the books.
and
love
read the
movies.
books, definitely read the books.
Read the books first and then saw the movies.
As you should. See, I tried, and then I was too young to be able to beat the
I've not read the books.
We got 11.
Our kids, well, see, the books, we started reading the books with the kids before the movies ever came out. Because it was just fun to read and, as for bedtime stories.
Did you see the 20?
The first couple.
Fun to read. I thought it was like about wizards and spells and shit.
But it was fantasy.
Okay.
It wasn't,
All right.
The magic.
It wasn't honey,
Yeah, I think bedtime stories. I think like lessons on saying please and thank you, and
Well, this is
tiny elephant gets a cold or some.
This is 5, 6, 7-year-olds, not 2-year-olds.
Maybe my kids are slow.
Hager read the whole second book by the time he was in second grade.
I mean, like, yeah, I'm not tucking them down to sleep reading Revelation either.
Yeah.
Are we early?
We'll probably hit it after 56. Traffic was only 45 seconds. That's probably why. Traffic was only 45 seconds.
Gotcha.
Start your day with Baton Rouge's hub for information and opinion. Here is Brian.
606 to Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Good morning, everybody. Brian here with you. Jake producing. We call it Mornings with Brian Haldane. We are off and running on this Friday. Going to be a good Friday as well. Going to be a very solid Friday, a loaded up Friday. We don't coast into the weekend around here. No, we stay at a sprinter's pace all the way up until 9 a.m., at which point we will hand things off to the Fox News Rundown. All right. We got a lot of ground to cover. Like I said, we stay at a sprinter's pace. Haggai Davis going to be in for a cup of tech gumbo, as we will conduct a funeral this morning in a cup of tech gumbo, and perhaps even have a eulogy for the BlackBerry. Gone too soon. Gone too soon.
Not really.
Stifle yourself, Haggai. Also, if you see ransomware, is it really ransomware? Can we play a little Texas Hold'em with our ransomware? That's also in Cup of Tech Gumbo this morning. In our 7 o'clock hour, State Representative Tanner Magee is going to join us. We are now, today's the 7th, which means we are a full weekend on Smoke 'em If You Got Pain. Yes, medical marijuana's expansion. We're a full weekend on it. Tanner was pivotal in the legislation that got that moved forward. We talked with John Davis earlier in the week. We're going to talk with Tanner about this at 7:15. Also want to dive in a little on infrastructure and whatever else he's working on if we've got time on the back end of that. 7:35, Governor John Bell Edwards held a press conference yesterday to talk about the Kodachrome variant. No, got to get that right. Kodachrome was a Paul Simon song. The Omicron variant. As I've got audio from the press conference, but as I'm cutting up the sound bites last night after the LSU women's basketball game, more on that in a moment. After the LSU women's basketball game, cutting up the sound bites, Dr. Joseph Cantor was on point yesterday, and I want to dive into a lot of what he had to say. That's at 7:35. In our 8 o'clock hour, we're going to have a bonus legally served. This is going to be based off of talking about the mask mandates in school. Earlier this week, kid got booted from the U Lab school. Sent home. Not booted permanently, but an out-of-school suspension. We're going to dive in on that in a bonus legally served. Then we're going to round things out 8:35. Chuck P is on board. Chuck P's got a podcast out there that we're adding to our Saturdays on Demand lineup. What is the Saturdays on Demand lineup? Happy to tell you. On Saturday evenings, and we're actually starting it earlier now because we've got so much content, rather than doing a show where you have it broken up with commercials throughout, where the clock always catches you, cuts you 3 sentences short because you just run out of time, we'll just run full podcasts. Boom. Yeah, there's commercials in between the podcasts, but you get an entire show from start to finish before moving on to the next one. Chuck P's got a new one out. It's called We Have Spoken, which just sounds so powerful. Chuck's not normally that like over the top. We have spoken. It's like Willy Wonka at the end. Good day, sir. I said good day. We have spoken. He's breaking down a number of, he and a co-host are breaking down a bunch of TV shows. I think most of them are on Disney Plus, so calling them TV shows feels weird. But nonetheless, that's what we'll be talking about at 8:40. We'll have a lot on the Omicron variant. We're going to have a lot on COVID-19. Unfortunately, it's what's out there right now. Our Attorney General is going to be in front of the Supreme Court today to talk about mandates as well, which, honestly, is kind of a big deal. I mean, it's not every day that you get to speak in front of the Supreme Court. So we'll have some news about that as well, some audio on that as well. All that's coming your way throughout the morning, jam-packed Friday morning here on Talk 107.3 FM. Top stories are trending outside in. Jake will have this day in history. But getting started this morning, I got the opportunity to actually attend my third LSU women's basketball game of the Kim Mulkey era last night. And I got to tell you, the experience gets better and better every time. The other ones were non-conference, obviously. Last night, the number one team in the country, South Carolina, was in the Maravich Assembly Center. And it was nothing short of, it was the best sporting event I've been to this year. It was fantastic. Now, let me be very, very clear. Most sporting events, I'm not at. I'm producing. Like most sporting events that I'm anywhere near, I'm on the back end, right? So actually getting to go to the games is fun. But I've got a 4th grade daughter. I coach her in basketball. Took the whole team out there last night. We're supposed to have practice on Thursday nights. I was like, you know what? I think you'll get a lot more out of seeing this game on the highest level you're going to find around than, running figure eights and dribbling drills. So it was an absolutely wonderful time. 9,100 plus in the Maravich Assembly Center last night for the whiteout game. The T-shirts were everywhere. It was loud. It was raucous. It was borderline Deaf Dome days, which was nice. LSU women had a lead towards the end of the second quarter, and then South Carolina just South Carolina'd. They're a reason they're number one in the country. Number of questionable calls by the officials, but you know how that goes. You'll note the ones that went against you and never the ones that you got in your favor. So not going to credit the loss to that. By the way, LSU ends up losing on the night. not going to blame the game on any of the questionable calls, but they were in it the whole time. I can't for the life of me find betting lines on women's college basketball. I know. What kind of degenerates looking up betting lines? Not to actually place money on the game, although that would be cool. Anyway, not to place money on the game, but in order to get a sense of where LSU is versus where expectation would be. They lose 66-60, and I've got to think that if you're playing the number one team in the country and you lose by 6 and you're outside of the top 10, you've covered the spread. And that's that to me is the barometer of where you're at as a program. Kim Mulkey has gotten more out of these girls than you could possibly imagine. It's almost borderline sad when you look at the majority of this team was here last year, right? To see where they are now versus where they were then. It's so over the top amazing, the level of play. And honestly, the difference in the game last night, they ran out of gas. That while Kayla Pointer and Jalen Cherry and Faustina Fua and I don't want to leave anybody out, Autumn Newby, Hannah Gusters, while everybody who was out there, Morris, what's Morris's first name? Number 45, Alexis Morris. While everybody who was out there on the floor, Ryan Payne got a couple minutes, gave it their all and got every ounce of potential into deliverables. They just ran out of gas. 40 minutes, and, if you get a little bit deeper of a bench, you could have spelled a couple folks for a couple minutes, and maybe shots that you were shooting at above a 50% clip from the floor in the first half, and then you finished the game at 42% from the floor. That means the second half was well below 40%. Shots that would have fallen, they just don't when you don't have your legs under you anymore. And that and rebounding were the only differences in the game. Anyway, LSU loses 66-60 last night, but I want to reiterate, if you've yet to go out to a game under the Kim Mulkey era, side note, Google what she was wearing last night. If you've yet to go out to a game in the Kim Mulkey era, you are not going to be disappointed. You are going to be thrilled. And then you can listen to Patrick Wright on the postgame show right here on Talk 107.3. My wife leans over to me. She goes, how does that woman coach in heels? You know what? If Will Wade and the men's basketball team's motto is boot up, Kim Mulkey's got the heels. I'm thinking heeled boot up. Hashtag heeled boot up. Let's get that trending. All right, we're way long. Ooh, man. Saints may or may not be going to the playoffs. There's a lot to be spelled out. Derek Stingley has declared for the draft. I thought that happened a long time ago. We'll talk about it next in sports on Talk 107.3. I may have to make that up on the back end. I didn't realize we were that far in. And
Give women's basketball their flowers.
their flowers?
Yeah, give them credit.
Oh.
You know, like when a celebrity passes and you're like, man, we should have given him his flowers while he was alive. That kind of thing.
They did give Simone Augustus flowers last night.
Wow. Oh, man. I forgot how great she was.
I remember.
It's Oh, 625. I didn't put it down on here. I'm sorry. It's going to be LRN cut 789. Yeah.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of friends. It paid for me to be the first person in my family
Is there a promo on the back end? Can you delete it? Lars Larson comes on at, 8 o'clock tonight? Odds are if you're listening now, you're probably not then. 618, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Not a ton of time here for sports. We got to catch the Fox Business Report at 6:20. Ran long talking about LSU women's basketball, which was kind of the lead for sports anyway, but it's more about the overall experience than the game. So the Saints are back at it on Sunday, taking on the Dirty Birds to close out the season. I love closing out the season against Atlanta because there's no such thing as a meaningless game when you've got Atlanta, right? Anyway, in order for the Saints to make the playoffs, two things have to happen. Number one, they have to beat the Falcons. Number two, the Rams have to beat the 49ers in Los Angeles. Here's the thing. You won't know ahead of time if both of them play out because they're both kicking off at 3:25. Saints defensive end Cam Jordan says he will not be scoreboard watching during this game.
If we're up by 50 points, I'll look over. I mean, again, between the lines, in between the first quarter through the fourth quarter, game whistle. That's all I'm focused on is trying to get a hold of Matt, create a turnover, get a hold of running back, create a turnover. It is what it is. I think our defense has to be fully locked in for 60 minutes, and we'll worry about how the cards will turn as they may. But again, we have to handle our business first before we can look outside.
Jordan says they're not guaranteed another game after Sunday, so it's all about beating Atlanta, as it always is.
We're fully locked in. As you guys saw last week, our intensity is just that a little bit higher. It's that much more. It's whatever you got left in the tank because there could possibly be, this could possibly be our last game. And we have to play like each down is going to be our last down. So that just is what it is.
Kickoff is at 3:25 p.m. You can hear the game on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Saints going to the game at 8-8. The Falcons are 7-9. The Falcons have no shot at the playoffs, but, it's a rivalry. These two teams hate each other, as they should, because they're the Dirty Birds, and they suck. All right, Fox Business Report coming your way right now. That's the wrong feed. Kill it, come back to me. Something's apparently wrong with the Fox feed. That was clearly not a business report.
Not at all.
I'm just glad it was clean. Did I hear him say she make? I don't even know who they were talking about. I kind of want to listen again.
You want to put it back
Yeah,
on?
put it back on for a second. Whoa!
Whoa!
What?
Whoa!
All right, that's enough. I still don't know who they were talking about. All I heard him say was she makes 29 look good. I'm like, who can't make 29 look good? If you're not looking good at 29, you're never going to look good. And then he's singing? All right, well, we have a satellite problem. With my apologies for those looking for the Fox Business Report. We'll get the latest on the markets and such at 6:50 when we check in at Your Money Now. So, sorry about that, everybody. That's you hit the button and something weird comes out. All right, take a quick break. Check traffic. Coming back, Attorney General Jeff Landry is going to be in front of the Supreme Court today. We'll talk about it next.
You know what I love about this time of year? Fall, football, and fishing. And so why don't you take your fishing game to the next
Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, Boo. Hopefully, and I haven't looked at the schedule yet, but hopefully there's a new Blue Bloods tonight. Wouldn't that be nice if there were a new Blue Bloods tonight? That's how exciting we are.
We're gonna watch the last Yellowstone tonight.
I keep hearing about Yellowstone. Everybody's pitching me Yellowstone. I'm gonna have to get in on Yellowstone eventually.
It's The Sopranos in Montana. It really is good.
That's what I hear.
I mean,
I haven't heard Sopranos Montana yet, but that's
I mean, they don't have quite as much sex as The Sopranos did, but
okay.
But it's about family. There's a lot of killing, a lot of plotting. And
Is it better than Ozark?
right there with Ozark. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's better.
God, when's Ozark gonna come back?
Next on January 21st.
Woo!
I saw that there was a release yesterday.
Super hyped about that.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes,
Put what in there?
teaches you conversations that you will actually
Yeah.
Because it's really fun.
Yeah, it is. Keep it.
like travel, business, relationships, and more.
Yeah, January 21st, season 4.
Babbel,
Okay.
language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
All right. Good morning, YouTube. I'm finally on YouTube. Good morning, Tiffany, Clint, Troy, Eric. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Clint says, where's Franz for this? Franz has carpool duties this morning. Bonus legally served coming your way at 8:15. Kid gets booted from school for not wearing a mask. What's up with that? What's up with that?
And can I just say about the Franz? I think Troy and I did a much better job than the Franz did last week.
Okay. Okay. I feel like shots are fired here.
I mean, I heard the shot the other day on Wednesday. Him talking about his social media presence and everything.
You know I called you old lovingly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Look,
I was taking him down a peg, not knocking you down.
No, I've been called worse. I promise. by people who love me.
I love you.
I'm not that you
Come
don't.
on now.
I'm talking to people I'm married to.
Oh, okay. 624, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. How did what happened during the break turn into a battle between Ozark and Yellowstone? Sorry, I was talking about, let me bring everybody up to speed on air. On YouTube, we have different conversations during the breaks. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you'll get a lot more out of the show. Just open up YouTube on your phone and like while you're shaving, getting ready for work or whatever, just leave it out there. Anyway, Haggai's pitching me on Yellowstone, because I'm boring and my wife and I watch Blue Bloods on a Friday night. That's what we do. We pour a little tequila, make our own little homemade ranch waters, and watch Blue. We're watching Tom Selleck and Donnie Wahlberg at 9:00 on a Friday night.
And Steve Shripper.
Bobby Bacala. I mean, yeah. Is it weird that his name is Anthony this time around? Like, he was next to Anthony Soprano for The Soprano. Now his name is Anthony. Abbott DeMarco is a great last name, by the way. Sorry, we're way too down the rabbit hole on Blue Bloods. But Haggai's telling me I got to watch Yellowstone. And I asked, is it better than Ozark? So now I guess that's the poll question for the YouTube chat. Ozark versus Yellowstone. Which one is better? By the way, Troy says Yellowstone is not nearly as good as Ozark. He says it's not close. Unless he's got his greater than less than signs pointed in the wrong direction.
I'm not going to say Yellowstone is better, but it's certainly not worse.
Galen says the ending to the last episode of Ozarks was awesome. Oh, God, so unexpected. I mean, it was and it wasn't, right? I don't want to give any spoilers. So Ozark's coming back in 2 weeks. That's awesome.
January 21st.
Awesome! Anti-heroes are like everything now. The anti-hero is where it's at. The show I've been catching up on I've finally started in on, and I'm almost done with season 2, The Blacklist. It's on NBC. It stars James Spader, which James Spader has evolved to the point where he just plays James Spader. Anyway, he plays this FBI's most wanted guy, Raymond Reddington, and he's working with the FBI to catch all the rest of the people on the FBI's top 10 most wanted criminals list and the Blacklist. Fantastic show. But he's another one of the anti-heroes. And that's all you see now is from Tony Soprano to Walter White on Breaking Bad. I'm sure Yellowstone follows the same path, just like Jason Bateman on Ozark. Anyway, that's where we're at on the YouTube, if you'd like to chime in. Which is better, Ozark or Yellowstone? As I'm not actively seeking a new show, but so many people say Yellowstone's good, I'm going to have to. All right. Attorney General Jeff Landry is going to be in front of the Supreme Court. Going to tell you about that in just a minute. One other sports story we didn't get to. because I've just got worse clock management than Aaron Brooks. Derek Stingley Jr., one of the stars of LSU's 2019 championship winning season, is going pro. This headline yesterday that Derek Stingley has declared for the draft. File this under duh. Yes, these are things we all knew. We know this. We've known this for a while. But now it's official. All right. Attorney General Jeff Landry, he's in Washington, D.C. today. You're going to hear more on this from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network at the bottom of the hour. He's presenting oral arguments to the Supreme Court against the Biden administration's plan to mandate vaccines for select healthcare workers. Landry says this is a big day for the country.
The decision of the Supreme Court could decide the course and direction that this country will embark upon, maybe for the next century.
Now, the last time the Attorney General was on with us, and he comes on the show once a month, so it'll be not this coming Wednesday, but the next. Yes. The last time he was on, we talked about this, and there's a huge difference between a Biden vaccine mandate for those who work with the government, those who contract with the government, and then all the rest of us, that if you have 100 employees or more thing, such an arbitrary number. What the Supreme Court is actually going to decide on whether or not to sustain the Centers for Medicaid and Medicaid Services rule that requires all healthcare workers at facilities that participate in Medicare and Medicaid programs to roll up their sleeves and be fully vaccinated. Landry says this rule could be harmful to medical staff.
If I force you to be vaccinated and you have an adverse reaction to that vaccine, then I can't fix that again. It's not like when you put a mask on and walk into a building, you can't just leave the vaccine at the doorsteps of the hospital.
I do hope that's not the card that he chooses to play in front of the Supreme Court. Look, I didn't go to law school. Okay, that's that. I don't think that's going to come as a shock to anybody. But we need medical staff at every turn. And if you're already in the hospital of COVID, I don't think you're worried about catching COVID from somebody else. But we need medical staff at every single turn. All right. The Attorney General will be in front of the Supreme Court. One other thing that we need to cover with this. The case will be one of two that's heard today, representing plaintiffs from Louisiana. The first featuring a case against OSHA requirements for companies with over 100 employees to mandate vaccines as well. That was the other one that Attorney General Landry and I spoke about the last time he was on. Landry says he's worried that if the president's mandate is held in place, it could create a healthcare shortage overall, which is the argument he should be making.
There are people out there that either for religious or other philosophical reasons do not want to be vaccinated. And again, this is America.
Not wrong on that front. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, and we'll see how quickly we can get the Attorney General back on the show this month. Really, this is a big question about whether or not the Biden administration is overstepping their bounds. I think if he sticks within the law, don't try to play a motion to the Supreme Court. Play the letter of the law. Here comes CBS News. All right, done with this.
By the way, I have a follow-up to your anti-hero statement about movies and TV nowadays.
Yeah.
I think, well, I do a lot of research on film. It's a big passion of mine. And what I've noticed is villains, themes, heroes, everything, it's all a reflection of kind of our society in that generation or that era, that decade. For example, back in maybe the 60s or maybe the 80s, the older Bond films were so black and white, the villain had no depth. It was just some bad Russian. There was really nothing behind it. But nowadays, like since The Dark Knight 2008, people started really questioning status quo. I mean, they were doing that beforehand, and villains were becoming more complex. But nowadays, you're getting these anti-heroes that are wrong in their methods, but you still see a hint of truth to what they're fighting for, what they're preaching. Even if they're totally wrong, they're kind of right in a way, and that makes you think a lot more.
So the concept isn't exactly new, but the catapulting and the frequency with which we see the concept play out
absolutely
is. The concept If I want to date it on film, I can go back to, was it 72? If I want to date it in books, it goes back way earlier than that.
Yeah.
Michael Corleone. Michael Corleone's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And that would be the pinnacle of where I would say the whole thing started.
Yeah.
Because before that, it was very, the bad guy's wearing a mask and wearing black, and the good guy's wearing white and has a gleaming hat and a shinier horse.
I'm just fascinated how you refer to the 60s and 80s, way back when.
I mean, come on now. Hate to say, man, but I got to be realistic.
I get it. I mean,
Granted, I understand that probably all of the viewership, everybody here except for me, probably feels this way. But I was born in the late 90s.
yeah, no, so was my youngest. Man, I get it. I'm just old. I'll be 60 years old in a couple months.
Was it Skip Bertman was it my LSU orientation, which was 30 years or 25 years ago. Skip Bertman made a comment, because we had like a number of different speakers and whatnot. Skip Bertman made a comment of like, they say 70 years is an old if you're a tree.
I forget who said this, but someone said their kids referred to like the 80s and 90s as the late 1900s.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel old. I can't imagine.
We used to laugh at my mom and say, when you were a little girl, were there still covered wagons? She grew up in New Orleans and Gretna, to be precise, but
Nolans.
the best back.
Hey, let me fire off Mooyah before you fire off the commercials.
Oh wait, this is commercials.
Yeah. Where are my Yellowstone fans? Ozark has an early lead in our YouTube poll over here. Ozark better than Yellowstone so far. Sound off. Hey, do you have lunch plans yet? I mean, it's 6:35 in the morning. You probably shouldn't even be thinking about lunch yet unless you're that obsessed with Mooyah burgers, fries, and shakes, which I can't blame you if you are. Can't blame you if you are. If you want to swing by today for a well-done, if you want to swing by for a best-case scenario. Queso-nario, not case scenario. You get a little cup of queso you pour right on top of the onion strings that come on top of the burger. I'm a Diablo guy. On the menu, it's a double Diablo, but with the weight loss, I cut back a little bit. Blue Bonnet at Highland, Segan just north of Industrialplex. You're going to find top-notch ingredients at both locations, freshly baked buns every day at both locations, certified, never frozen Angus beef at both locations, and wonderful customer service. When you pool all this together, you get the best burger in Baton Rouge. Mooyah, burgers, fries, and shakes. I was about 9 seconds shy on that one, but I didn't want to eat up too much. Eat up, get it?
Proud of you.
We're not playing the Dan interview?
No. Pushing it back to Monday. It's about a show that comes on Tuesday nights on the Food Network. I just felt like we're already 2 episodes in. Next week will be the 3rd episode out of 6 that are in the series so far. By the way, check this guy out. His name's Dan Adoot, Ahdoot. Funny guy. He's a stand-up comic first. He was on, what's the Karate Kid show? Cobra Kai. He's on Cobra Kai. And now he's hosting this show on the Food Network called Raid the Fridge, where basically they'll go around to different people's fridges and jot down what's in the fridge, and then they'll put refrigerators in the studio, right, filled with whatever they found in other fridges, like different celebrities or whatever. And you got a number of fridges to choose from. You have to choose your fridge based off the outside appearance, and then cook with whatever's in the fridge. So, like, are you going to find, like, foie gras in there? Or are you going to find, like, half a dozen eggs and leftover tater tots? Like, there's a level of reality to the ingredients that you don't have with when I talked to him, I was like, normally when you see these shows, it's like they come out with all these random ingredients, like, here's a quart of motor oil, some pesto, and a 3-pound gummy bear. Go. And then, oh, yeah,
Go
what?
the filet mignon.
Yeah. So, like, no, this is a lot more real. And his biggest thing, bringing funny to a food competition, which I absolutely, we're cooking, people. It should be fun. So, I mean, if you watch Chopped, between the lighting and the camera angles and the motion and the music, it's like, oh my God, this is so stressful. Is this Squid Game? Is somebody about to get shot? Squid Game sucked. I'm the only person that didn't like that show.
I never saw it.
I watched 3 episodes and just bailed. Oh.
I don't watch that much TV.
Neither do I, but it was so hot, so popular, I had to. The writing is good. The storyline is good. The acting, to me, was terrible.
It's time for a cup of tech gumbo. Haggai Davis talks technology news using language even Brian could understand.
You just don't get it. I don't have your head for science, so I'm not going to be able to help much.
For a full serving, check out Tech Gumbo, presented by Cardinal Capital. Saturday and Sunday. We got 30 years worth of files right here in this computer that are going to bring you down. A cup of Tech Gumbo on Talk 107.3. I'm sorry, wrong password.
Yes, it is time for a cup of tech gumbo. Yes, it is time to welcome in Haggai Davis. What's happening, sir?
Here for another great Friday.
I'm telling you, man. By the way, first of all, thanks for filling in last week.
Oh, you bet.
That's, I got some much-needed rest. But I appreciate you stepping up and filling in. I understand Troy was in with you.
Yep.
Okay.
We had a good time.
All right. I very rarely get a chance to go back and listen to a show in full, but I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got a lot of ground to cover this morning. And we're going to go in backwards order here
All
because
right.
we're gonna have our funeral last. All right. We got to start with the Texas Hold'em of ransomware.
Yes. It's not fake news. It's fake ransomware.
It is fake ransomware. So, the new type of ransomware, fake ransomware. According to ThreatPost, ransomware has seen a significant uptick so far in 2021. With global attack volume, obviously this is a spillover story from last year, with global attack volume increasing by 151% on the first half of the year as compared to the first half of 2020. Business owners are scared. Employees are on the alert at the first sign of attack. Many companies have protocols in place that are to be immediately activated. Now, Mike Tyson said everyone can have a great game plan until you get punched in the face. Ransomware for business owners especially if you're not prepared, has a tendency to punch you in the face, and people can react quickly and say, just give him what he wants and we'll get back to business. This might not be the best move.
So, what's going on with this ransomware? Instead of the very elaborate scheme, which actually encrypts the entire network and PCs and everything, so that you have zero access to your data. This is, for lack of a better term, going down to your bargain basement, your Dollar General store ransomware. Because it just pops up on your screen and looks like ransomware. It looks like your whole computer is locked up. And here's a link. If you pay this $250, we'll decrypt everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're hoping that you're going to click on the link. Oh, it's only $250, fine.
Right.
Here you go. But it's just a screen cover. It's not actually encrypting your computer.
Right.
And so if you recycle your computer, it goes away.
Okay.
And so their hope is that, these guys, these hackers, they're hoping that you're going to just panic and, okay, here's my American Express, run it, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
$250, I did that in dinner last night. That gets me back whole, okay, great. As opposed to give me, 25 Bitcoins at $45,000 a piece.
Right.
Oh, okay, $250, easy. I don't even have to call my IT department. I don't have to call the CIO even for that.
Exactly. That's petty cash.
Yeah, that's for $250. Nobody has to
Side
know.
note. Did Haggai just say $250 was a dinner? Did I just hear that?
Yeah.
It was dinner lesson. Wow. Bro, need to roll with the Tech Gumbo crew, man. All right, then.
Well, when you bring a family out,
Fair enough.
bottle of wine, and
Come bottle of wine. Appetizers, yes, please.
sure.
So, what is the biggest things to look out for here? Is it the pricing? Because to me, you see $250 for ransomware, and I'm like, come on, people, what are we doing? You wouldn't go through this effort. Like, that's the BS alarm going off right there. Is you wouldn't go through this effort to get $250 out of me, or is there something else we should be looking for?
The first thing you should do is follow the protocols that your company has established.
Right.
Because every business has protocols and IT disaster standards already in place, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. They're supposed to. Yeah.
The first thing you should be doing, unplug the computer.
Okay.
Unplug it from the network, unplug the power, shut it all down so it can't continue to spread if you've caught it. But then if you happen to plug it back in, and when the IT guys show up and plug it in and it's gone, okay, all is good. Be careful with what you're doing when you see some ransomware pop up on your screen, and eventually at some point, a lot of people, not everyone will, but at some point you're going to get it. It's what's your reaction to it? How do you stay calm, remain cool, do the protocols, follow these things, or do you freak out?
Right.
If you've got your data backed up, then you're good. Just unplug it, shut it down, reload.
Unless your data is something that's sensitive to your clientele, right?
Well, no, because it's just decrypted. It's still on your computer. They don't have it. All your data is still local.
In reality is, yes, but if the fear is that they have it.
That's really not the way ransomware works.
Okay.
It stays local. They're not trying to take your data and extract it. Ransomware doesn't, they don't care about your data. They just want to keep your data away from you, so you'll pay to get your data back. If they were wanting to take your data and strip it and use it to resell everything, they don't want you to know that you're there, that they're there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. That makes more sense. So, unplug. Wait. Side question here. I've got about a minute and a half left before break. Side question here. You said unplug your computer, unplug it from the network. Is it too late to how long would it take to get? Because I would imagine you'd read the email. By the time you see it, shouldn't it already be in the network?
By the time you see it, it's been on the computer, on your network for anywhere from 30 days to 3 months. So it's been trying to spread across your network. So it's way too late. But even when you see it, it's still best to go ahead and unplug, just to stop it from going.
Okay.
East-west traffic is when my computer's trying to talk to your computer on the same network.
Right.
North-south traffic is when my computer's going out to the internet and back. East-west traffic is what helps spread the malware and ransomware across your network. Okay.
It's just because when I hear that part of the equation, my instant thought is like, it's instant. It's automatic. Like once you've opened it, if it's going somewhere, it's already there. This isn't Cam Jordan chasing down Matt Ryan.
Correct.
There's not like you're not like running from a defensive end. This is boom. It happened. If you by the time you're done reading that it's ransomware, by the time you're done reading the email, it's already gone.
It's already there. It's been there for a while.
If it were in real life. All right, we got to take a quick break. We're going to come back after the break. We're going to check your money now, which will hopefully actually be your money now. If you weren't listening at 6:20, we had one little satellite glitch. We're going to check your money now. We're going to check traffic. We're going to come back. You're listening to A Cup of Tech Gumbo as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. We do this every Friday as Haggai Davis sits in for a full serving of Tech Gumbo. Check it out Saturday and Sunday at 4 right here on Talk 107.3 FM or anytime you get your podcasts on demand. Can you go to YouTube and pull up, like, sad second-line music?
So Tiffany's
Or funeral. Just pull up funeral music. Tiffany does what?
Tiffany's talking about shots fired at Franz.
Top 30 funeral classes, 3 hours long.
Perfect. I mean, they kind of were fired at Franz.
Fun shots. I mean, I like
course.
Franz so much. I mean, he's
You know.
yeah.
You want me to find the best one?
Yes, please. Christian says the Squid Game's supposed to be like how China really is. Well, I thought it was in Korea. I could be wrong with that. But I don't know. It's so like eyes wide shut, like with like the man behind the curtain type of toying with other people's lives. I don't know.
Look at Byron. All right, Byron. Byron says results Haggai better than Franz.
Ozark better than gallstones? I like how he spells gall like it's what France used to be.
Yeah.
God, that game was so good last night. It hurt to watch them, that 11-point lead just dwindle.
Yeah.
But you knew it was going to happen. I mean, it's just in women's college basketball, we're not to the level of parity. Like you have the top 10 teams, and then there's a serious drop off. And look at that jacket from Kim Mulkey.
Oh, I know. That was amazing.
No, you know what it reminded me of? This is such a deep cut. Jackie Mason and Caddyshack 2.
Didn't see.
Oh. Said Jackie, you look at it this way, it's blue. Over here in this light, it's purple. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's like those cars when it's blue, black, purple as they
Yeah.
go by.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on how the light hits it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Kayla Pointer's so good. My 9-year-old was so dialed in on Kayla Pointer. Like, that's all she could talk about afterwards. Look at that jacket. Oh, my God. I mean, like a bad Elvis impersonator. Like at a Ramada Inn off the strip, you know?
By the way, you've
Looks good on you, though. Cool.
Helped by solid demand for server memory chips and higher margins in chip contract manufacturing. The world's largest memory chip and smart
2 years of Latin, of course he spells it gall.
profit at $11.5 billion. Revenue likely rose 23%. Samsung is due to release earnings on January 27. SpaceX gave an update on its Starlink internet service as the company launched more satellites.
Kind of cool that LSU in the same week honors Dale Brown and Simone Augustus. I mean,
That's right.
it's kind of cool that in the same week LSU honors Dale Brown and Simone Augustus. I mean, when you talk about the heyday of both men's and women's basketball at LSU.
I remember when Dale Brown would take some of the team and they'd travel around, and when they'd come to Morgan City and we'd go to the Dale Brown mini camps and dribbling basketballs, you know, like Pete Maravich, and
Yep.
I mean he wasn't on that, he wasn't part of that group or anything, but I mean that was what we, you know, if you didn't dribble like Pete, you just didn't hold a basketball, but you know we learned to shoot watching, you know, the way Pete Maravich shot the basketball, and when Dale would come with his team and we'd do the dribbling up and down the court, you know, and go through the cones and all the little drills that he would have everybody do.
I was raised on Pistol Pete's homework basketball. I did a couple of Dale Brown mini camps. I got to do the Dixie camp one time, which wasn't Dale Brown, it was Jodine's thing, but it was like, I don't know, just, yeah, it's a big part of my childhood. And you were down there in Morgan City, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We never wanted to go to Morgan City and biddy basketball. More biddy basketball in Morgan City in the mid '80s was next. I think y'all went to nationals one time.
Probably did. I mean, I know they were good.
First time we went down there, we didn't make it past midcourt in the first half. Yes. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll see if it mutes it. Cup of Tech Gumbo rolling right along. Alongside Haggai Davis, Brian Haldane here with you. We'll get you to the CBS World News Roundup in just a little bit. All right, Haggai, we got a couple more topics to cover, but I'm not going to get into a full-on conversation about something else without bringing this up. This morning, we sadly have a funeral to attend.
Yes.
BlackBerry phones, running BlackBerry 7.1 and BlackBerry 10, will cease to function reliably as of a couple days ago. So they have ceased to function.
They're done.
BlackBerry is shutting down its services for 7.1 and 10 handsets as of, I believe it was Tuesday?
January 4th.
Yes. Though not unexpected, the end of BlackBerry software and services for these devices marks the end of an era in smartphones. The shutdown means the likely small group of people who still use these BlackBerry devices won't be able to access data, make phone calls, or send text messages.
The tens of people who still use BlackBerries are no longer able to use their BlackBerries.
I've had an iPhone for years, Haggai, but I got to tell you, like a high school sweetheart, you never let go.
I had two different BlackBerries back in the day. I mean, they were amazing.
They have a real keyboard. A real keyboard.
That was my least favorite thing about it.
Oh, it was my absolute favorite thing.
I
loved the real
was
keyboard.
not a fan of the tactile keyboards. They
Can we
were
take
better
just-
than they were. I mean, so when you went from, because you had the HP Assist, their little digital assistant thing, and you went from pagers, and then the interactive pagers, and then these BlackBerries came out where you could type in a message.
Yeah.
And that was really, really cool. And it made having a
The
cell phone.
Sidekick. Remember the Sidekick?
Oh yeah, now that you mention it. And then all the BlackBerry Curve and all the rest of them, and BlackBerry, it was a crackberry because we were so addicted to our BlackBerries. And go ahead and try and take somebody's iPhone away from them. Take away their Android today compared to when we thought we were addicted to crackberries.
No, it's 1,000. It's exponentially worse. We'd be remiss if you hated the keyboard or didn't hate the keyboard. That's not the most important thing here.
No, it was
Can we
just
take
so
30
much-
seconds?
Yeah.
And Jake, I'm going to need you to kill the music here because we need a full-on moment of silence for the rollerball.
Oh, that was my least favorite thing.
Moment of silence for the rollerball. It would accumulate dirt. It would get sticky. It would click.
Finger oils.
Finger oils would make everything stick to it. The poor rollerball was simultaneously the greatest and worst invention in the history of inventions. That's not hyperbole at all, Haggai. I'm being real. It's like the first person that created the upside-down mouse.
Did you remember you used to have to take the rubber ball out of the mouse and clean it?
I do.
That was the same kind of thing.
It was the same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. But you loved it because of its flaws. You accepted it and loved it because of it was perfect in its imperfections.
And then Steve Jobs came along in 2007, and that was the beginning of the death of the BlackBerry.
I miss it. I miss it. I want it back.
In 2008, the Android came out, and the folks at BlackBerry doubled down and they said nobody's going to want those flat screens. They want the keys.
Yeah.
They don't want all that functionality. They want the keyboard to be able to type.
The exact same way that Blockbuster said nobody wants to download their movies. They want to come to us. The exact same hubris. The exact same myopic view on things. So the BlackBerry's officially dead.
Yep.
I tell you, you want to know where my BlackBerry died? Oh, watch this. Watch this, Haggai. Right here.
Oh.
Right here.
That brick on the wall.
That brick on the wall. If you're not watching us on YouTube, the wall to my right, I'll never forget this. I was where I am right now. Matt Kennedy was where you are right now. And I could not access anything one morning. And I'm not normally a short-tempered guy, but I just turned, hauled off, and whap. and you could hear it on the air.
Oh, nice.
And Matt lost it. He could not stop laughing. He's like, that was the most un-Brian thing I've ever seen.
I did that with an Android phone. I switched to an Android one time, and 6 weeks in, I hated it so bad because it just didn't work in my mind. I mean, it's the same way with, it's a great phone. Androids are great phones. I'm not negative on Androids. Just when you start with an iPhone, your mind kind of works down that path. Same way if you start with Windows and you don't really do Mac as well. Or if you start with Android, you don't like iPhones. I get it. So I just got to the point where, okay, that's it. Into the brick wall. Oh, look at that, honey. My Android broke. I gotta go get a new iPhone.
Oh man, I will never forget. I brought it back into. We obviously didn't have AT&T then. We were with a different carrier. I brought it back into the store. I said, I need some help with my BlackBerry. They said, what's wrong? I said, it's in 1,000 pieces. All right, before we get out of here, and Godspeed to the BlackBerry. May it rest in peace.
Yes.
Peace as mine happened. Got about a minute left. Microsoft Edge is about to bring you an excellent way to procrastinate. What is this about? I haven't read the story yet. What's it about?
So it used to be that you would click on the start and bring up the games category, and you go to Minesweep or Solitaire or any of those things. But that was part of the Windows operating system. Well, now that Windows or Microsoft Edge is going to have a little icon to bring back those same game categories. So you're going to get your time suck back in your computer on your Edge browser.
Because that's what we all need.
Well, yeah. Who doesn't need some mental floss every now and then? Just because, you gotta kill 3 minutes, and you don't want to start a whole new something. Let me just play solitaire for a little bit. Just check out. I gotta unplug for a few minutes.
I tell you what, though, if you have the choice between that and TikTok, you need to be taking TikTok all day long. He's Haggai Davis, host of Tech Gumbo. Catch it Saturday and Sunday at 4 right here. Outside of those topics, what else is on this week's show?
We're also going to talk a little bit about AT&T Verizon on-off again relationship with the C-band and the FAA.
Oh, yeah, the 5G and crashing airplanes. That's coming your way Saturday and Sunday at 4 and anytime on demand via the podcast. Here comes the CBS World News Roundup. Oh, good segment.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm really hoping YouTube didn't mute us.
Let's see. Yeah, Troy, I was stepping on the funeral.
We didn't rehearse it. It's all good. I have ideas at 11 o'clock on a Thursday night. I'll be back in 1 second. Sharpen my pencil.
All right, YouTube. When the Franz gets here, make sure we keep reminding the Franz that Hag was better.
Save your comments until 8:15 and then just blast them out, right? Hey, what was I gonna say? There's something I was gonna say something and I don't remember what it was now.
So another thing we
Crap.
did talk about though on Tech Gumbo, Microsoft is raising their prices March 1
are they?
across the board. Office
Shocker.
365, yeah, and there's the new commerce experience is what they're calling it. So that instead of being able to buy month to month, now you have to pay for a whole year in advance for your Office 365, and it's going to make it interesting.
That's gonna be short-lived. They'll go back to month.
Oh, you can still do a month to month, but you just have to pay 20% more for the
Oh,
month to month.
well then that's actually smart marketing.
So they're gonna, if it's $12.50 a month for your Office 365 account right now, it's gonna go to like $14-15 for an annual contract. Oh, you want month to month? Okay, that's gonna be $18 for the month to month.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's you see that in sales everywhere.
They're
Hey, maybe you want same thing with live endorsements.
it's
Buy the full
whole-
year.
Yeah, the microtransactions is just that's just wearing them out.
I got
Hey,
real quick, I'm in and out of here. I'll show you something. I saw this on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just scroll and saw this picture, and somebody says, "Who is this?" And as soon as I looked at the picture, I thought of Hunt Palmer.
Oh my God!
Is that amazing?
Oh my God!
Tell me that ain't Hunt Palmer.
Rich!
I'm telling you, it's like, oh my God. So I text Matt, he was on the air, you know. It's like 4 o'clock, getting ready to take a break.
Yeah!
Coach, he sent me like 40. He said, dude, you ain't right. He said, but that's amazing. That's Hunt Palmer. I saw him last night. We had to
Have
go
you,
to that.
I was going to say, have you
I
told
hadn't
Hunt?
shown him, no.
Oh, you got to tell Hunt! Rich!
I'm telling you, that's freaky, huh?
that's funny.
Wow! Sorry, for y'all couldn't see it on YouTube. Rich found a picture on Twitter of, I don't even know who that was. It's a woman who looks like one of our coworkers.
With a blonde.
Well, yeah, like if one of our coworkers was wearing a blonde wig. I need to bring Hunt the blonde wig and just be like, put this on. Well, Hunt's doing well. The Hunt and Hill.
Yeah.
Jeremy's coming along as well. He's leaps and bounds away from where he was, but I love those throwback Thursdays he was doing during football season. Mm-hmm. I don't think he realizes what kind of lightning in a bottle he caught.
That was a cool. I mean, I've enjoyed. You know,
it's going to be impossible to carry on through baseball season though, because who the hell remembers? Like, there's so many baseball games. Like, you just, it's going to be different. Oh my God. Eric says the germs we survived when we had it. Talking about the BlackBerry? Mm-hmm. Oh, can you imagine in the first couple months of COVID when you thought you can get contact transfer? If we all still had our BlackBerries, how much everybody would just be defecating themselves daily? Oh, man.
You still have complete collision.
Let me do it before top stories.
And beer match is supposed to be for the second.
Yes! Let me text old Mitchy boy, see what's what.
All right, Facebook.
YouTube.
I'm sorry. YouTube. That was a throwback.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Later, Haggai. Thank you, man.
Is Tanner coming in person?
No. He's from Homa.
Is that why he's not coming here?
Yeah.
You get Palmer's phone number, Hunt Palmer?
Yeah, I'll text it to you.
Send it back.
.706, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Jake producing. Thanks again to Haggai Davis for a great segment of Cup of Tech Gumbo. A lot of memories right there. A lot of memories. Gone forever. We'll miss you, BlackBerry. We will miss you so much. Got a busy hour this hour. State Representative Tanner Magee is going to join us. He was busy last legislative session, and he will be busy in the upcoming legislative session. A couple of the big wins last time around from his perspective. Expanding medical marijuana to the smokable form. We are now 1 week into that. Since Tanner was so pivotal in that role, we will explore it a little bit with him and talk about infrastructure and a few other topics as well. That's coming up at 7:15. 7:35 this morning, Governor John Bel Edwards held a press conference about the Omicron variant yesterday. Was breaking down the press conference after LSU women's basketball last night, which, if you missed the beginning of the show, let me give you a recap of the experience. Mulkey's Tigers lose 66-60, but that was intense. That was fun. That was raucous. That was the Maravich Assembly Center the way it was meant to be played. It was a fantastic night. I had been to a couple of non-conference games, seeing the number one team in the country, seeing Simone Augustus be honored. It brought back so many memories of the Pack the PMAC nights. And just good basketball, too. A lot of ball screens, a lot of movement away from the ball. It was good basketball. And I don't mean that old school take of like, well, if you want to see basketball the way it was fundamentally meant to be played. Not that take. Like, Caleb Pointer's good. She's got game. I mean, it is a below-the-rim game to be sure, but it's fun basketball, especially if you watch the whole court. Anywho, what was I talking about? The press conference, breaking it down after I got back home from the game? Yeah. Dr. Joseph Cantor was really on point yesterday and had a lot to say. We're going to break down the audio from the press conference in our 7:35 segment, but it's going to be predominantly from Dr. Cantor. That's all coming up later on this hour. I'm going to get you to top stories in just a minute, but I do have to tell you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. 768-9898, 768-9898, 768-9898. That's the phone number. Why do you need to know that number? Why do you have to have that committed to memory or just go ahead and put it in your phone? Because if and when you get into an accident, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You'll have to decide, and keep that in mind. You're the one who decides. You'll have to decide where to take your vehicle for its repairs. Your insurance company may or may not have a deal hammered out with somebody locally where it gets done to their liking. It gets done on the cheap. It gets done with aftermarket parts. It gets done to where you're back out on the road quickly and cheaply. Not necessarily safely, though. Safety is the key over there at Complete Collision Center, both locations, one on Plank Road up in Zachary, Perkins Road just east of Bluebonnet, certified by more than a dozen major car manufacturers. They have the iCar Gold Class certification. That ties us back into the conversation about a commitment to safety and knowledge. Learn more at CompleteCollision.com. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out CompleteCollision.com. Time for top stories and trending. Let's roll. Some capital area schools have opted for virtual learning in the coming weeks because of the recent surge in coronavirus cases. Want to know who and for how long? Well, I mean, honestly, it's after 7 o'clock. You'd probably already be on your way to school, if not there. Magnolia Woods Elementary went virtual yesterday. They will run virtual through the 11th. Kenilworth Science and Technology Charter School went virtual yesterday through the 18th. For Bel Air, McKinley, and Buchanan, Bel Air High, McKinley Senior High, and Buchanan Elementary, it is today through the 12th. In-person visitation at the Office of Juvenile Justice Secure Care Facilities has been suspended. According to a Thursday morning news release, the Office of Juvenile Justice will begin limiting the number of visitors, contractors, and deliveries on secure care campuses until further notice. Officials say the new restrictions are the result, of course, of the current surge in positive COVID-19 cases in Louisiana. More on that in a second. The Office of Juvenile Justice says they will analyze data and guidance from state and national public health officials to decide when it will be appropriate for visitation to resume. The Capital Area Transit System has parted ways with Chief Administrative Officer Perlina Thomas in a brief 3-sentence letter this week. Our news partners at WBRZ got a hold of the letter. It was signed by CEO Bill DeVille. It reads as follows. Thank you for your services. Effective immediately, this memo is to notify you that I've decided to go in another direction. Your services are no longer required. It's brief. It's to the point. Gets it done. Perlina Thomas out at Cats. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me go back to why for those. There it is. Why is Perlina Thomas out at Cats? Well, Thomas came under fire last October when an audio recording surfaced where she claimed $5 million was missing from the bus company. The conversation in the recording was between Thomas and a former employee, Elijah Pipersberg. Pipersberg oversaw policy of the system, references Cats CEO Bill DeVille in the recording. Thomas did not comment after the fact under the advisement of her attorney. All right, now. Sorry about that. As a story from late last year. Might have forgotten. A lot happens over the holidays. Deputies have arrested a man accused of randomly attacking a postal worker on her route on New Year's Eve. We had the story for you a couple days ago. The East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office arrested 28-year-old Lionel Hale on Thursday after a nearly week-long search for the suspect. The department said the violent attack was captured on surveillance video. The recordings helped tie Hale to the crime. According to arrest records, the victim was delivering mail at the Audubon Park apartment complex along Mount Pleasant Road when Hale approached her, asked if she wanted a bottle of water. Hale briefly left, returned with a bottle of water, and handed it to the worker. When the worker turned her back, he pulled a knife and stabbed her dragged her out of the mail truck. Then he reportedly threw her to the ground and allegedly attacked her with the knife. He was booked on a charge of attempted second-degree murder. Well, broken record is topped by another broken record, talking about the Omicron cases in Louisiana, the COVID cases in Louisiana. Governor John Bell Edwards is not going to institute any statewide required COVID rules amid a surge in cases tied to the variant. However, yesterday saw another record-breaking number. The governor had a news conference yesterday afternoon. Louisiana set another record, 14,077 new COVID-19 cases reported on Thursday. That broke the benchmark that was set on December 30th when the state reported more than 12,400 additional infections. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. The LSU Vet School released a female bald eagle. I couldn't decide whether or not to put this in this segment or in the outside end because it actually happened in St. Mary Parish down in Morgan City. But since it was the LSU Vet School, let's roll with it here. A bald eagle was released in Morgan City Thursday after being under the care of the LSU Vet School's wildlife hospital for a few weeks. On December 13th, an agent with Wildlife and Fisheries brought the bird in, saying it was hit by a truck. According to Dr. Mark Mitchell, her injuries show she wasn't hit directly, but was carrying an egg. Using supportive care, we were able to get her to expel the egg, Dr. Mitchell said. Each year, LSU Vet Med takes in around 15 eagles, as well as more than 1,200 other types of animals. Eagle was released yesterday. Shout out to the vet school, always doing great work. 7:15, we are super late. State Representative Tanner Magee coming your way next. Tanner is down in Terrebonne Parish. I know we're supposed to talk medical marijuana and a little bit about infrastructure, but if I don't start with Hurricane Ida recovery, I'm going to kick myself in the face, which would make me a lot more limber than I actually am. I'm in a Friday kind of mood today, by the way. Oh, hey, ever heard of comedian Dusty Slay? Are you on TikTok? Look him up on TikTok. TikTok is a wonderful format for him. You'll find him on YouTube. You find him everywhere. He's been on the Tonight Show a couple times. Anyway, look up Dusty Slay while I'm talking to Tanner. He's like if the Blue Collar Comedy Tour had an honors class.
Dusty Slay.
Dusty Slay.
Oh my gosh, he looks like a comedian.
Yeah.
TikTok's a really good format for stand-up.
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of stand-up
Yeah.
on my feed, like more than I
My
expected.
pseudo cousin Theo is on there a lot, more from his podcast.
I gave him a follow. I'll check him out.
Cool. We're having a good time. It's kind of his tagline, like in between jokes. We're having a good time. The great part is like because of like his completely redneck manner, a Dusty Slay impression sounds exactly like a Larry the Cable Guy impression. Like if you weren't looking to see the long hair and the and the beard and whatnot, they sound a lot
You
alike.
just see Toe Mater.
That's right there. I tell you what. Well, maybe Toe Mater's got a little more twang to him. Dusty Slay's got a little more like just smoked a bit of weed. .718, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Governor John Bel Edwards held a press conference about the rapid spread of the Omicron variant. He held a press conference yesterday. We've got audio more so from Dr. Joseph Cantor than from the governor, but that's going to be coming your way in our next segment. Right now, though, it's time to check in with Speaker Pro Tem, State Representative Tanner Magee. Tanner, welcome back. Happy New Year. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. Happy New Year to you too.
No, glad to have you on. Always glad to have you on. Always good to get a check in. I wanted to talk about the expansion of medical marijuana and how kind of get a one weekend report card. But I would be remiss if I have a guy on from the Houma area and don't lead with recovery because I don't want to. I don't want to forget that you guys are still struggling down there. How are things going?
It's been slow. It's not where anybody would want it to be, but it's better than probably the last time we talked. We're still, still have housing needs, and we're dealing with all the insurance problems now, and trying to get and work our way through it. But it's definitely better, and I think it's one day at a time kind of situation.
When it comes to the housing needs, trailers were slow to get down there. Is that caught up, or are we still like, hotel and commute?
Well, I think everybody has kind of made their plans on what they're going to do. Nobody's hotel and commuting more that I talked to. Mm-hmm. We have trailers, probably still not enough of them, but we're getting there. I mean, we have probably about I think a little over 1,000 trailers provided by the state, and FEMA's doing sort of like these trailer park situations, and they're not really up and running yet, but they're getting close to be up and running.
And as far as those getting back into their actual homes, have we been able to see any of that yet, or is it still too soon?
Still too soon. I think a lot of people really, what you're seeing and what I'm hearing from people is it's a lot of people living with relatives. Like if you have one house that's good, everybody's kind of packed into those houses. And look, I mean, it's kind of one of the secondary issues. When you've had people in, you love your family, we all do, but when you've had them in your house for, since August, it becomes its own sort of like, people need a break. They need to get, kind of resume the normalcy, and having that many people in your house and trying to feed them and do all those kind of things and those close quarters, you're really hearing people's frustrations come out. But we're making it, it's like I always tell you, it's resilient people, and we will get through it.
I mean, we're on up here in Baton Rouge. I don't think our signal reaches all the way down to Houma. Do you need to vent a little bit? Because there's a hint of like speaking from experience in your voice here. Is there a particular relative you want to call out?
No.
Okay.
They're all been great and they're all been wonderful, but you do hear it a lot. Like I'm tired of my mother-in-law kind of situation, but it's not me personally. Actually, my in-laws are in Baton Rouge, so they are listening, and they are wonderful people, and I'm very thankful for them.
Awesome. Speaker Pro Tem Tanner Magee is our guest. All right, so it's slow going with Ida. That's to be expected, though. I mean, when you look at what happened with Laura last year, and we're, 16 going on, well, more than 16 years removed from Hurricane Katrina, and it took forever there as well. So it is going to be a slow process, but I appreciate the update. Let's move on to medical marijuana and the smokable form, which is now 4 days into existence because it didn't kick in until Monday. How are we doing?
It's, we're hearing mixed reports. I mean, we're doing well. I think initially people worried about there being enough supply. That doesn't seem to be an issue. I think that all the pharmacies have had enough supply to give it to people. There was long lines at every single pharmacy. What we're doing and what we're seeing now is there was a big disparity in price. Like New Orleans was really high. Lake Charles and other places were more affordable. And so if you were one of these markets that were really high, people complain about the price. But I mean, I think it's, like I tell everybody, it's the first week.
Yeah.
Give things a chance to play out. Let's see where it is 6 months from now before you make some rash judgments. The first flat screen television I bought was really expensive. Now they almost give those things away. So you gotta let time play out a little bit with the market.
Okay, so I agree with you in principle, but in reality, for those people who are in pain, that's a tough ask, Tanner.
No, look, and I hear you. I definitely do, and I'm not suggesting that it should stay like this. And I think we have in the public, I said I'm concerned about some of the price points, but for people who are in pain, they absolutely need to come down. And I'm hopeful, and I think the press and the negativity of some of those places. I think a lot of it, though, maybe I'm being wishful thinking here. I'm hoping that a lot of it, they didn't really know how to price this yet.
Okay.
Talking to some of the people in the supply chain, they said there was a lot of questions like how price like this, and so I think you're seeing the disparity. Hopefully, what we see is the lower price points of some of these other pharmacies that were more in line with what we want becomes the market price. If it's not, look, I never was in favor of 9 pharmacies. I filed legislation right when the medical marijuana program got started to make an unlimited amount of pharmacies. I just don't like controlling, like having a monopoly on situations for this reason.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get that bill out of committee because everybody was against it at the time. I don't know what the reaction would be now, but it is what it is. Hopefully, I think we will probably see the expansion of pharmacies at some point anyway, just because I think it's, to me, it's like an access issue. Why should Baton Rouge have patients have access to it and people in like Port Allen don't? I just don't. I know they can drive across the river, but the bridge, maybe they can with the bridge in Baton Rouge, but I just don't think it's fair. I think when you live at the 9, you're really concentrating the availability in places. And Brian, one of the things we always heard in testimony is I know people think about like marijuana is sort of this recreational thing, but when you're actually in the Capitol and you hear the stories of like cancer patients who are dying, it's the only thing that can get them to eat food and all these things. And you hear about people, like in New Roads who couldn't get it before, and they were having to have like doctors drive to them to bring it to them and stuff like that. Those are the things that I'm even more concerned about than just price. But yeah, price is definitely a big issue.
Yeah, it is, and this is going to be one of those ones where you're going to have data to expand, right? You're going to have to be able to show the naysayers, empirically show the naysayers where they were mistaken, where they might have been led down the wrong path. Have the negative aspect of this just go away based off of experience, but experience unfortunately does take time.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think I was looking at some of the data from yesterday. And I think it's probably interesting is that Lake Charles and St. Tammany Parish are the 2 biggest markets, not New Orleans. I mean, I think, and not New Orleans nor Baton Rouge. Lake Charles and St. Tammany Parish are the 2 biggest markets right now, which I think is just, we could probably spend, me and you, an hour talking about why that is and maybe not have a real conclusion, but I think that's very interesting data. It's the 4th and 7th largest places in Louisiana, not the top 3 largest places. I mean, it's just interesting to me.
That is crazy. I mean, yeah, we're going to need more time and more numbers to know the why behind that. But yeah, I find that very interesting that it wouldn't be New Orleans, Baton Rouge, or Shreveport.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I thought for sure you were going to see New Orleans 1, Baton Rouge 2, Shreveport 3, but it's not. Wow. And I think it also talks about the populations, though. I mean, I think there's a misconception about medical marijuana, about who's using it, what the actual market is. The data does show, even nationally, that the biggest growing market for medical marijuana is 65 and up, which tells you everything you need to know. Those are the people who are in pain. Those are the aging populations, and they're looking for something other than opioids. And I think that probably drives the data more than what people have in their mind of, like a 19-year-old kid. And so I think that's really what it shows.
And how long do you think, just kind of an estimate here, and as far as expansion is concerned, that is great because it will bring down prices and it will help those who are in pain and who have needed this the most from the start. But as far as seeing the, what's the word I'm looking for? Seeing the, not just to go along with the expansion, but to see the disproving of the arguments against it. What kind of set of numbers are we looking for here? What kind of time frame are we looking for here to say, no, see, you didn't see this because of that? And conversely, how long will it take before we start to see a curbing of other things like the opioid problem?
No, I think those are both great questions. I think, the data we were looking for, the naysayers, is, is marijuana use rising in these locations and stuff like that. I mean, I think it'll be a while before we actually see any hard facts on that. And the same thing with opioid. I mean, I think that's a bigger trend because so many things are connected too. It's not just medical marijuana that's going to affect those things. And so you have to look at the bigger trend of policies. But, one scary stat in Louisiana is we have more opioid prescriptions than we do population. So, I mean, when you think about that, how does a place have more opioid prescriptions than actual people? It's crazy. So, I mean, we have to do something. And I think everybody's seeing the toll of what that opioid addiction really caused. And so I think, that's where we are. And I think it's opened the door for this kind of stuff. But also I think, look, it polls 75% approval across the state, almost every single market. Mm-hmm. This is what the people want. I mean, at the end of the day, this, is wildly popular. And it's not just here. Arkansas is doing it. Mississippi's doing it. Florida's doing it. Everybody's, it's one of these situations in my mind where it's like, does Louisiana want to continue to be the only one in the nation that fights the change? And I want to be part of the change, and I want to make Louisiana look like it's, like everybody else.
Yeah, and it opens the door to the more effective the medicinal end of this is. We can move to the recreational end, which would move us towards an economic end as well. I've only got a minute and a half left. I knew we were going to be weed heavy in this segment, but just a quick infrastructure update. Where are we at to start 2022?
So, we had the Biden bill passed, and then we also did a state bill. And, one of the interesting things is the state bill actually has more money in it than the Biden bill does for Louisiana. But combining the two together, I think we can get some projects really going. And I think one of the things, the big issue is going to be is we passed a state bill without any sort of conception of the federal bill because we didn't know what that would be at that time. Mm-hmm. And now I think we need to come back in 2022 and figure out how we can change the state bill to maximize the federal bill. Because, the federal bill requires matching dollars. It always does. And right. So if we're going to get all the money out of the federal bill, we have to have the matching dollars there. If we had not done the state bill and it was controversial at the time, we would not be in a position at all to realize the matching dollars because it's going to take about $50 million at least a year to draw down those federal funds. And so had we not passed it at all, we'd be really left out of the whole entire deal. So what we really need to do now is to tweak the state bill, come back this coming session, tweak it so we can make sure that $50 million is in a position to draw down the money from the feds. And the Fed, if you look at the Fed bill, the main thing you need to know is that there's roughly $200 million every year for Louisiana in the Fed bill, mm-hmm. But then the big dollars are through grants. So you're going to have to apply for these mega projects. And to apply for them, you're going to need the state match. And you're going to need the local match, and you're going to need all those things, and you're going to need the projects that are shovel-ready. And the two most shovel-ready projects in Louisiana are the bridge in Lake Charles and the bridge in Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. So what we really need to do is figure out how do we get those dollars and use it. And then I know I'm kind of just going on a little bit of a rant here, but the second part of it is I know I still try and draw down the federal dollars. One thing we need to do is we need to focus more on just using state dollars outside of the Fed match, because with the Fed match comes, anytime the feds are involved, the cost of the project goes up because you got to do environmentals, you got to do federal regulations. We need to start looking at Louisiana about how we can do smaller projects with just state dollars and leave the feds out completely so that we can do them more quickly, because I share everybody's frustration that these projects take way too long. But if the feds are involved and you got to do the environmental and all those studies, it's going to be a pain in the butt.
Find it interesting that a guy who's recovering from Hurricane Ida put the I-10 bridge in Lake Charles and the I-10 bridge in Baton Rouge ahead on the priority list of the I-49 expansion all the way down to New Orleans as an evacuation route. That's where we got to call it, though. We are due up for our news. Speaker Pro Tem Tanner Magee. Let's talk soon before the next session.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of those things that when it comes down to, being shovel ready is one thing for sure, but at the same time, though, the different tribes from the different fiefdoms are going to start fighting over whose project is more important. We already know we're going to see that. Dude from Homa just said, take care of 10 first. That's, to me, that has a lot of... Oh, we're super late. That has a lot of weight. I'm going to have to pick this up another time. Here comes our local news, traffic, weather right now on Talk 107.3. Bro, we are in good hands with that guy. I love that guy. He's awesome. What's going on YouTube? Tiffany says this shall become like the throat punch. I was there listening when Brian threw his phone at the wall. I wish we still had it. I went back and looked for it because Matt goes on when he starts giggling, he turns into a schoolgirl. It's hilarious. Like, the giggle itself is infectious. Debbie says, did they hatch the egg? I already responded to that. I don't know. I'll ask. I know exactly who to ask. Tiffany says, throwing your phone at the wall was, quote, the most un-Brian thing you've ever done until you punched Matt in the throat. If a post could have a shit-eating grin, that post would have Tiffany's shit-eating grin all over it.
They call that a shit post.
Yeah.
That's not a pun. That's actually a thing.
It is? Okay.
It's a shit post.
So, or is it the most Brian thing? I've stopped trying to make it go away because I know it's never going to go away. What's worse is Matt is, after what was he in radio for close to 30 years of, driving into the studio before the sun comes up and having to get on with the rest of your day when your day is already over, but everybody else is midday and nobody else cares about your schedule and that you've been up since 3. After 30 years of that, he doesn't feel like driving down here when he comes on the show. So I'm like, yeah, just call in. So every time he calls in, the rumor starts over again with, oh, why is he not in studio? Because he doesn't want to get punched again. Trying to stop that story would be like Glenn Davis trying to get people to stop calling him Big Baby. Woke up with a headache this morning, and I don't know why. Eric just admitted it's BS. Right there, Eric. There you go. I love how this has been accepted by everyone. Makes me shed a tear. Hey, look, if the legend is better than the truth, you run with the legend, right? I mean, there were mornings where we would go at it like brothers because we really are, but the throat punch did not happen. Oh, hey, look who's on!
Create income. What about Social Security, Medicare?
Oh! Saturday mornings at 9. couple seconds before the full. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. .737 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to Speaker Pro Tem Tanner Magee for hopping on board. We were, I knew there was no way we were going to get to all of it, but it's going to be a busy session this year, a very busy session this year. We'll get into the good, the bad, and the ugly as the show wears on, as the year wears on, as to why it's going to be a busy session. Your teaser right here, just hear me out. 2022 session sets the table for 2023 statewide elections. Watch for the posturing now. The posturing next year, it's like it's almost going to be too little too late. Everyone knows what they're going to be running for by this time next year. Right now sets the table to have something on your resume when you run next year. Watch for your fiscal hawks to have fiscal hawky bills and then run for treasurer. Watch your voter rights bills and that level, an expansion within or technology within to set the table for the Secretary of State's election. Watch your tourism bills set the table for the lieutenant governor's election. I don't know if anybody in the state legislature is running for governor. There might be two on the Republican side. I don't know the Democrat side that well. All right, Governor John Bel Edwards held a press conference yesterday. I'm going to tell you about it in 60 seconds. First, I got to tell you about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. Getting yourself a good night's sleep is absolutely vital to having a productive day. I speak to this personally. I got my mattress from the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet, 4065 Florida Boulevard. The Mid-City location is where I went. Laid down on, I want to say 8 or 9 before I found the one that was right for me. A Beauty Rest Black Label was what's in the Haldane house right now. And it is fantastic. And I was able to narrow in on the exact right mattress because the team at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet does not, they don't let up until you know what's exactly right for you. Oh, this one's good. Are you sure? Try this one out too. This one's good too. Are you sure? Try this one out as well. Eventually you'll find the right one. You know when you go to the eye doctor and they're like, better one, better two. Better one, better two. It's a little bit like that. I like to call it the Goldilocks routine. One's too soft, one's too hard, one's just right. Yeah. That's what you're going to get at either location of the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. 4065 Florida Boulevard in Mid-City or the corner of Jefferson and Housatoo if you find yourself in the southeastern corner of the parish. Mitch and his team want to take care of you. By the way, mention you heard about it here, and end-of-year warehouse prices continue, I believe, through this week. If you mention you heard about it here, you will get those sale prices. You will get a free pillow, and you will get free delivery, but you got to drop my name at either location of the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. All right. Yesterday, Governor John Bel Edwards held a press conference about Omicron. The Department of Health reporting 14,000 and change of new COVID cases yesterday. It was another record set. Normally, when the governor has a press conference, we'll play back sound bites from the governor. This morning, though, I want to take it in a little bit of a different direction because every time the governor has a press conference, he hands off to Dr. Joseph Cantor. Now, Dr. Joseph Cantor is a doctor. He's speaking on behalf of the Department of Health, and I normally don't like to get bogged down in like a lot of the heavy science. I like to keep it on a higher level where, first of all, I can understand it. But Dr. Joseph Cantor, when he hit the podium yesterday, everything that came out of his mouth was making A, 100% sense to me, and B, was a spark of a lot more conversation. So without further ado, let's dive into some audio from Joey K. We'll throw back to a Joseph Cantor bit we did in the height of the COVID, or after he took over with the COVID pandemic. The backstory on that bit was Joseph Cantor has an alter ego that is quote-unquote Joey K. And the John Cena music just really brings it to life. All right, Dr. Joseph Cantor speaking at the press conference yesterday. Talk about the hospital numbers. Let's start. We're going to go these in chronological order, Jake. Sorry, I missed rehearsal. The hospital numbers themselves are continuing to rise at an alarming pace, but it's looking like it's less severe. Here's what Dr. Cantor had to say.
What's going on in our hospitals. So today, 1,412 COVID-positive patients are in our hospitals. 76% of them are not vaccinated. That number is relatively consistent with what we've seen in the past. And 60 of them are on mechanical ventilators. This speaks to the small silver lining that the governor mentioned. That's a lower percentage than we have seen in previous surges. In prior surges and in the past Delta surge, on any given day, somewhere between 15 and 20% of the COVID-positive inpatients in hospitals were sick enough to be on ventilators. That number is lower now. Now it's been between 4 and 5%. And it speaks to exactly what the governor mentioned. All data points so far indicate that, thankfully, Omicron is less virulent, meaning on average, it makes people less sick.
Which is the reason that I really have not sounded the alarm off on this a whole lot the way it was with Delta. Delta was a lot more frightening than Omicron. And we're going to have Dr. Katie O'Neill from Our Lady of the Lake on for our Medical Monday segment Monday. And one of my first questions to her is going to be about, well, my first questions are going to be about testing. But one of my questions to her is going to be about when you see it spread super fast, but not really hit as hard, does that mean that this thing is weakening? You never know what the next variant is going to bring. But if we've learned anything over the last 22 months, following trends is important. Delta might have been the worst of the worst, and it might be on a different path right now. Now, that being said, the overall volume of positive cases has the hospital busy. So while it might not be as virulent, it is spreading that much faster. Just on a strict numbers game, when you've got that many infections, even though the percentage of people is down, the number of people in the hospital is going to be in at an alarming rate. It's buying in bulk. It's the Sam's Club or Costco. You're going to get a cheaper price because they're selling in volume. Same thing here. You're going to get more people in the hospital because it's by volume. So, Dr. Cantor says, do not go to the hospital to get tested, but
there's no question that it's become harder the past couple weeks to find rapid take-home tests. We're talking about point of care or take-home antigen tests. There's a national shortage of antigen tests. And when I say shortage, I just mean that the supply doesn't meet the demand right now because the demand is much, much higher than it was a month ago. There's actually more tests out there than there were a month ago. There's just markedly increased demand right now. We feel that in Louisiana, it's everywhere across the country right now. We're working as hard as we can to get more rapid antigen tests, both from the federal government and also on the private market.
The weekend between Christmas and New Year's, the wife and I thought we had a potential exposure, right? Completely asymptomatic. We went hunting for at-home tests, could not find them. But after talking to a couple doctors, if you're asymptomatic, don't go seeking the tests. You're going to get mixed results. That's actually what the tenor of my interview with Dr. Katie O'Neill on Monday is going to be, but we'll get around to that. Now, if you are symptomatic, if you're looking for a test right now because you have symptoms.
If someone is looking for an antigen test, a take-home test, and they can't find it, but they have symptoms, in the context of the surge we're in right now, they should just assume that they have COVID and isolate accordingly. When you're in a surge like we are right now, when COVID is everywhere, and it is everywhere right now, if you have trouble getting a test, a take-home test particularly, and you do have symptoms, the prudent thing to do is just assume you have COVID, isolate away from other people. That's the safest thing to do right now.
See, I run into problems with that. It feels like common sense to follow that advice, and I wholly agree. I wholly support that advice, but there's a glaring problem with it. Dr. Cantor had said earlier we're testing at about 27% positive, which is one of the highest rates of positivity we've seen so far. That is high. But 27% positive, by my count, means 73% negative. I mean, there's only two options, right? Positive or negative. There's no neutron in the middle. So at the end of the day, you're going to err to the side of caution. I get that. It just sounds weird to say it out loud. You want to assume the 27%, not the 73%. Yeah. We're going to skip to the bottom of the page to make sure we get into all this. Going to cut 6, Jake. One of the things that Dr. Cantor talked about that we haven't heard about in a long time, and he felt it needed a refresher. I completely agree with him. Let's dive into the effectiveness of masks.
I do want to spend a second to talk about masks because we haven't talked about masks in a little bit. And with Omicron, with how transmissible it is, I think it's a little bit more important to talk about these issues. If you're going to be around other people that are not in your household unit right now, you are much more protected and they're much more protected if people are masked. The more layers of fabric a mask has, the better protection it generally confers. In a broad sense, there's really two reasons why we wear masks with COVID, why it's important. One is to protect those around you from your own respiratory spread. And the other is to protect you, the wearer. Let's talk about that first part. When we talk about a respiratory plume, this is, when I'm talking right now, there's a respiratory plume going out. That's normal. When I wear a mask, any type of mask, cloth mask, any type of mask, that greatly limits my respiratory plume, makes it safer for everyone else around. Cloth masks still perform well in protecting everyone else around you. What cloth masks don't do as well as other masks is provide strong protection for the person who's wearing them. And to provide strong protection for the person who's wearing them, you really get much more benefit from an N95 or a KN95.
So in other words, we're back to the basics on this one. A, the masks aren't going to completely solve it. Man, if you don't fix everything, you fix nothing. The masks aren't going to completely solve it, but at the same time, you're wearing it for everyone else. It's been a while since we've heard that. Here's your money now.
I'm Jennifer Kashinka with Your Money Now. The fierce competition, low mortgage rates, and soaring prices that helped raise mortgage borrowing to record heights last year is expected to drive lending to decline this year. The Mortgage Bankers Association says banks lent $1.6
I know.
billion for last year.
I need to bring back the Joey K persona in a big way. This is a good bit. We did it 2 or 3 times. I'm one to walk away from a joke before bleeding it dry. Guideline of 3, not really rule of. Tiffany says, "Oh, Howard, you know we love you." I forgot about that. Ooh. General Russell Honore, who became famous after Hurricane Katrina when he said New Orleans was stuck on stupid. Someone was stuck on stupid became the catchphrase. He was charged with heading up security post January 6th last year, after the riots, the insurrection, the treasonous attacks on the Capitol. He was the one who said, let's figure out how to make this building safe, but it is still the people's house. I had Russell Honore on, and he called me Howard the entire segment. And I'm sorry, I am an assertive man. I am by no means feeble or meek, but I'm not about to correct Russell Honore. Oh, yeah. He's Russell freaking Honore.
By the way, I had my mic off. I said that was a very awkward
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta find a way to get 4 and 5 in there. They were both really good, but I just don't have time in this show. Yeah, I'm not ending a Friday on that. I'm going back to talk about Kim Mulkey's jacket. Byron says you could take the test too early in the infection, get a false positive before the virus creates enough of the protein to register positive. I'm sure the positive number is higher. Okay, Galen says, Byron, I think you mean a false negative. Byron says, I did mean a false negative. Byron, you are right. You can pop a false negative, but false positives are also on the table here. not based off of timing, but based off of the inaccuracy of the tests. And anything you package in bulk and sell to the folks at home runs that risk. I'm going to have to push it back and eat a minute of your segment because this is hard out. No, oh, that's right. Ghost Slim hasn't started back up yet. I was.
I got change for 20.
I don't have cash on me. Sorry. I actually, you know what? I left my money clip on my dresser, and I actually do have change for 20 in my money clip. Doesn't do you any good.
Thanks. There was a lot there.
That's
to unpack there.
It's a weird morning.
I'm out sick today. Could you please leave a message after the beep?
The shit was that? Was John Cena's music on YouTube as well? Okay. Yeah, I've walked that embarrassment before. It's fine.
Regular hard seltzer sounds like this.
I mean, at least if they can't hear the music, I can pretend like I'm on beat.
By the way, if we're just putting music like
Seltzer is available now.
right now,
Step up your
if we're
seltzer
doing like
game.
intros
Celebrate
to
responsibly.
segments,
2021 Molson Coors Beverage Company, Fort Worth, Texas. Flavor.
I feel like we should. Well,
teetering a line, but like
well, we've teetered the line twice, right? Today. Let's hold it off for another show, and we'll try it out Wednesday morning. No, I don't want to mute that. We'll
Mull it over the weekend.
yeah, I got to figure it out. But if we're not being muted yet, which, guys, did we get muted for any of that? If we're not being muted yet, I can't. I don't want to press my luck. That's how you get the whammies.
Last thing you need is a copyright strike on your channel.
We're licensed to carry all of it. We pay our ASCAP and BMI. BMI? No. BPI? No. What's the other group? I think it might be BMI, and it doesn't stand for Body Mass Index. It's been forever. .755, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Attorney Franz Borghardt is going to be in for Legally Served at 8:15. We're booting kids out of school because they don't have masks on. Talking about that. A little bit later. That's next hour. Also next hour, Chuck P's got himself another podcast you're going to need to check out. If you consume a lot of television, you're going to want to be in on this. I like talking... Don't Cross the Streams is what they call it on the J.D. Cody Show. We Have Spoken is the name of the podcast, and Chuck and his co-host bring you breakdowns of different shows that they're watching, so let you know if you have to or not. Right now, though, it's time where we step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish for a segment we call The Outside In.
It's time to step outside of East Baton Rouge and get inside our surrounding parishes. About time for me to be hitting the old dusty trail. Really explore space this time. I mean, really. Yeah. Explore the space. The Outside In, presented by BRPT Lake, with 6 locations and extended hours to fit your needs. BRPT Lake has got you covered. Schedule online now at brptlake.com. Coming your way now. Get out of this town. Yeah, and go where? Where are we gonna go?
Livingston Parish is our first stop today. A firefighter was arrested after a fire engine struck 2 vehicles on a highway in Livingston Parish, leaving an elderly woman dead. The Denham Springs Police Department confirmed Thursday that Cody Call, 24 years old, was arrested for the deadly crash, which happened June 13th on Pete's Highway. Investigators said Call was driving the fire engine behind a pickup truck, towing a trailer, and failed to slow down as traffic was coming to a stop. The truck rear-ended the corner of the trailer and then crossed into the opposite lane, striking another vehicle head-on. The driver of the vehicle hit head-on. 83-year-old Gail Ripple died in the hospital shortly after the crash. An arrest warrant said blood work showed Call had marijuana in his system at the time of the wreck. He was booked on charges of vehicular homicide and reckless operation. Over to Ascension Parish, a woman led deputies on a miles-long pursuit after law enforcement received reports of a stalker in an Ascension Parish neighborhood. The chase happened around 9:30 p.m. Wednesday along Old Jefferson Highway. Ascension Sheriff's Office said deputies spotted the suspect's vehicle leaving the subdivision. The driver refused to stop. Deputies chased the vehicle for about 6 miles before the driver, identified as 45-year-old Catriel Gibson, finally did stop. Catriel's from Destrehan. She was booked on charges of stalking, aggravated flight from an officer, and aggravated obstruction of a highway of commerce, as well as multiple traffic violations. In Iberville Parish, the Fort Area Park in Plaquemine is closed after being vandalized with explicit graffiti. Police say the park sidewalks were spray painted with, quote, explicit foul language. The park will remain closed until the sidewalks can be cleaned. According to the Plaquemine Police Department, this is the third criminal incident in the park within the last year. Previously, the basketball goal was shot out, and armed men were spotted in the area as well. Closing out St. Helena Parish. School's back in session after the following the Christmas break, but not yet in person. All schools in the district will be virtual until January 10th. Students must provide a negative COVID test or sign up for one through the school to return to class on January 11th. That is the Outside In presented by Baton Rouge Physical Therapy. Hey, do you have some nagging pains you need taken care of? It's just stuff you've learned to live with. You wake up when you stretch, it just hurts, comes back at you throughout the day. Doesn't have to be a recovery from a major accident or injury. This could just be that hunched over the computer thing in your upper back or lifting with your legs from your lower back. Baton Rouge Physical Therapy has been around for more than 60 years. They've got 6 locations throughout the greater Baton Rouge area. They bring you the Outside In every day because that's where you'll find them. Yeah, you'll find them in Baton Rouge, but you'll find them in Ascension and Livingston as well. They'll treat you like family. They know how to do it right. Check them out online at brptlake.com, brptlake.com. Get to the root of your physical limitations and get back to being your best you with the folks over at Baton Rouge Physical Therapy. Did you tell me I had a BRPT spot? Okay. That was a full spot. It was 55 seconds. So, all right. How are you this morning, Franz?
Looking forward to talking about weaponizing your kids for your political battles. I'm liking it. Wow. I like it. It looks good, right? Wow. I mean, it's not the first time we've weaponized little fourth graders.
No. When was the last time?
And candidly, who gets punished for this? The student who's not able to learn. Way to parent. Way to parent. Joking. I know how you feel.
What do you mean you know how? You don't know. You have no idea how I feel.
I struggle with this one.
Why?
Because I did not go to the Kentucky game, but I heard that the LSU sports regulations for mask wearing is different than the rest of the university.
It's a sporting event, not a class.
Right. The problem is that those kids, go to classes afterwards on that campus. I struggle with this one. It's not as red.
Wait, you're talking about 2 entirely different things, though.
No, but I see them as the same issue.
They're not, though.
Okay.
No. It's different for a number of reasons. First of all,
I just see them
you're not required by law to attend sporting events.
Correct.
You won't be charged with truancy if you don't go to a basketball game.
If I'm a parent, though, and I'm looking at the regulations on an LSU, and I'm lumping LSU and the lab school together, okay, and I'm looking at the regulations for going to the game or lack of regulations, and then I'm looking at the fact that my kid has to have a mask on. Now, all this discussion changes for me if the kid has a health issue that genuinely makes it to where he can't wear a mask.
Yes and no.
Okay. Fun times.
So, yeah, my actual take on wearing the mask in class is threefold. Number one, don't make your kid feel ostracized because your kid isn't like the other kids in the class. No child wants to feel like he's different and has to stand out. You're not being fair to your kid by having your own political stance. What you're calling weaponizing, I'm calling ostracizing.
Well,
We're on the same
They're
page.
they're mutually inclusive because in this instance, the kid is the one who pays the price for your political warfare.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Live to fight another day, or choose a different battlefront. But my third part of this is, where are you going right now? Where are you going? Do you really think you're going to win this battle today?
I thought
you are the Pastor Spell of ULab school now.
Haven't we fought it, right?
Multiple times.
Right. Are we on the verge of having another quasi shutdown?
No. We're nowhere close to that. And I'm formulating a take on that that's going to be, it's going to get me in trouble probably Monday, possibly Tuesday. It depends on how much work I decide to do over the weekend. But I don't think we're going to see another shutdown.
The MFer is going to be that parents who are dual income parents, as kids get sent home for virtual learning, they're going to be the ones who suffer in a non-shutdown environment. Because how do you take care of your kids and work at the same time?
Yeah, you don't.
It's been very easygoing all morning long. Green on all of the interstate systems. I have no backups or slowdowns to report to you. Everything is looking good. Take a look at this bridge shot. Very smooth sailing in both directions. So you are coming in from the west side, 7 minutes from Lobdell to College Drive. Coming in from Denham, Jubin to the 1012, coming in at 10 minutes. Not even any slowdowns along the way. Very easy going there as well. Curryville to Highland, only 5 minutes. And if you are
Oh, you missed out, Franz. Everybody's supposed to be posting right now like Byron did. You texted me. I just got like 9 texts all at once. What the hell? Oh, my daughter made it to school. I hate my phone so much. It's like my BlackBerry's haunting me now. It's coming back to haunt me.
Is it like reception in here? Is it your provider? Is it your phone? Like, what is it?
I have an iPhone -6.
Okay.
No, I have an iPhone 8.
What did I miss?
Wait, do you still have the home screen button?
What did I miss?
No.
Okay. Waiting for the.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. What do you mean? What do you miss?
You said, Franz, you missed it, and then you squirreled me. Squirrel!
About, what, 6:47 or so when we went to our first break of Cup of Tech Gumbo. Shots were fired.
By who? That guy?
Oh, yeah.
What about?
Oh, yeah. For you taking shots at him about his YouTube numbers.
I love that guy. That guy's a great guy. And let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's be honest, what?
It's all joking. It's all good humor.
806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. It became officially official yesterday. We are in King Cake season. More on that in just a minute. Hour 3 is going to be a busy one. We got attorney Franz Borghardt in for a bonus legally served coming up at our 8:15 segment, and then Chuck P is going to be on board. I got to talk a little TV here. We've had a running poll question, which is kind of dissipated now. I want to get back into it on our YouTube chat, which if you're not watching us on YouTube, you need to be, and take part in that conversation as well. And subscribe while you're there. Ozark versus Yellowstone. Pick one.
Ooh.
Am I right? I haven't watched Yellowstone yet.
Ooh. That's apples and oranges, though. That's apples and oranges.
Is it, though?
I'm going to go here. I got to go Ozark.
Ozark has been an overwhelming favorite.
I just bought the first season of Yellowstone for $20, and I'm going to buy all 4 seasons, Brian, so that I can. That's how much I like Yellowstone. But Ozark.
Okay. Let us know on YouTube where you're at. Ozark's in a runaway right now. It's not close. All that's coming your way.
Has the newest season of Ozark come out yet?
Haggai let me know this morning, January 21st. So we're 2 weeks
Haggai's
away.
useful for something.
We knew it was coming back around. Yep. All right. He said with love.
I love Haggai.
Don't we all? Jake's going to have this day in history for you in just a second, but today is officially the second day of king cake season. Where are you getting your king cakes at? How about Mathern's? Downtown on 3rd. Grab one and bring it back to the office. You want to talk about being an office hero? Grab a king cake, grab 2. Grab a plain. I shouldn't say plain. Plain's a terrible word. Grab a traditional king cake and grab one with praline in it or strawberry. Or, I'm not a cream cheese guy. The praline's the way to go. That's the winner. But they have them at both locations. If you are a cream cheese guy, grab one from Mathern's downtown on 3rd or on Nicholson at Skip Bertman Drive, right there across from Tiger Stadium. Yeah. Heading out to a get-together this weekend, an ill-advised amidst Omicron get-together this weekend. Make sure you're stocked up on king cake. Don't want to cook breakfast over the weekend? No, you don't want to get up early and make the kids French toast. Give them king cake. That's why they call it Fat Tuesday. You're getting fat. Both locations of Mathern's have you set, and they are a full-service grocery store as well. Check them out downtown on 3rd Street or in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center just across the street from Tiger Stadium. King cake season is upon us. About to be parading season. We'll tell you more about that as those parades get closer. There you go to parade headquarters. Stock up on some cold beer before you hit the route. Right now, time for this day in history. I almost said the outside in.
Who's coming with? We have to go back, kid. We have to go back. Say, kids, what time is it?
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great Friday so far. 1610s where we're kicking things off. Galileo discovers the first 3 moons of Jupiter. 1610.
This day in 1610.
No, it was yesterday.
No,
Of
I'm
course
just saying,
it's
like,
this day. It's
we
this day in
don't,
history.
you know, it's not like he did it and he tweeted it immediately. Like, he probably, like, went back to, are those 3 moons? Let me sleep on this and get back to you tomorrow.
Maybe.
So,
it is possible.
he's Galileo, for crying out loud.
1 year later, 1611, trial of Hungarian aristocrat Elizabeth Bathory for killing and torturing hundreds of young women, later sentenced to house arrest for the rest of her life. She is labeled the most proficient female serial killer in history. Never knew about her before.
It's a pretty serious label.
Yeah, very. Well, I mean, hundreds of young women.
Yeah.
Stats don't lie. 1790, French Revolution. A major riot breaks out in Versailles as people demand lower bread prices. Got to get that bread.
Yep, let them eat cake.
Going way later on, 1927, Harlem Globetrotters play their first game.
They won?
I assume so.
No, there was a time where the Globetrotters weren't the full-on Globetrotters.
They were a team, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. They were an actual team.
But, like, it wasn't, like, just always playing the Washington Generals and beating them by 90.
Yeah.
Still a fun show, though. If you haven't seen the Globetrotters in person...
I have. I saw them once.
They're at the River Center probably annually.
It's really fun.
It is. It's a good time.
1929, Buck Rogers, sci-fi comic strip's first appearance in a newspaper.
Okay.
Same day, same year, Tarzan, one of the first adventure comic strips, first appears. It was a good time. January 7th, 1929 for comic fans and newspapers.
No kidding.
1934, Flash Gordon comic strip debuts.
Flash!
1992, AT&T releases video telephone for $14.99. Not $14.99, $1,499.
Wow.
Video telephone.
In 92, though. Think about that.
I don't even know what that looks like. A video telephone?
Oh, you have one.
Well, yeah, I have one, but it didn't look like what we got now.
Right.
That was like 20 years ago. What do you know what that looked like? What did it look like?
Wow. Look at Jake with the Florida math. It was 30.
Was it really? Oh, shoot. 1994, U.S. Female Figure Skating Championship won by Tanya Harding.
I was wondering if you were going to touch on that, considering I did the whole Nancy Kerrigan thing the other day.
You did, and well,
Miss
it
Kerrigan?
did happen on this day in
Yeah,
history,
it
so I
did.
got to talk about it. 1999, this definitely happened on this day in history. President Bill Clinton's impeachment trial begins in the U.S. Senate after the House voted to impeach him for lying about his affair with Monica
I
Lewinsky.
did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I should have pulled up that clip.
Yep.
Did it happen on this day?
Everybody's Clinton impression is rusty at this point. Nobody does it good anymore.
Because it just
it's like a foreign language. If you don't practice it, it goes away.
And if you practice it,
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Yes, we'll have another unpracticed impression in birthdays.
2013 FIFA Ballon d'Or. Barcelona forward Lionel Messi wins the award for a record 4th consecutive year.
Wait. Look, I know I give you crap about the soccer stuff all the time, but what year?
2013.
So you've skipped all the way to 13 now.
From 1999 to 2013.
We're going to revisit this in just a moment. Continue.
Very well. 2019, Amazon overtakes Microsoft to become the world's most valuable listed company for the first time, worth $797 billion. 2021, Elon Musk, co-founder of Tesla, becomes the world's richest man, worth $186 billion, overtaking Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. So
Okay,
FIFA.
Did you skip 2008?
What
Or did I miss it? Did you say 2008?
I did not. What happened on this day?
I mean, I know it's not important as your little soccer.
Little soccer. It's the world sport.
2008, second-ranked LSU. Ever heard of them? They turned the BCS National Championship game into a horrible replay for number 1 Ohio State. Matt Flynn, our own Matt Flynn, throws for 4 touchdown passes in a 38-24 win. LSU becomes the first 2-loss team to play for the title, and they win it. They own it. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Well, he's not there anymore.
I know. Can we still say Go Tigers
I
like
want
Coach O?
to. It's so fun.
I know.
Go Tigers. God. I miss him already in that capacity.
In that capacity.
Let's get to the birthdays. Lewis Hamilton is 37.
Okay.
Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye in pretty much any action movie. He's 51. Nicolas Cage, 58 years old.
Nicolas Cage.
We're going to steal the Declaration of
Whoa.
Independence.
That's high praise.
Not the bees.
Nobody does a Nicolas Cage impression. Everybody does Andy Samberg doing Nicolas Cage.
Because it's so over the top.
It is, because everything's either whispered or shouted.
That's called range right there. Lamar Jackson turns 25. Eden Hazard, Real Madrid forward, turns 31. And finally, for me at least, Walking Dead star Lauren Cohan turns 40.
Awesome.
Got any for me?
So you had Nick Cage.
Yep.
You had Lamar Jackson.
2 for 2.
Danger Zone. Kenny Loggins turned 74 years old today. And former LSU Tiger Todd Kenshin.
Ooh.
Born on this day in 1969.
Happy birthday to all those mentioned. I have 2 deaths to talk about. Nikola Tesla passed on this day in 1943, and Neil Peart, 2020.
Also Joe Robbie.
I don't know who that is.
The Miami Dolphins Stadium was named after him. I'm sure it has a corporate name now, but Joe Robbie Stadium, a former NFL player, lawyer, and attorney. I think he did both. I think he played and then was an attorney.
Get you a guy who can do both.
Yeah.
Holidays. Harlem Globetrotters Day. Fitting. And National Pass Gas Day. Just let it out today on a Friday.
I had National Bobblehead Day.
Yeah. Pass Gas Day was funnier to me.
Yeah, it was.
Who doesn't love a good fart joke on this Friday morning? But that is this day in history. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it, FIFA. Let's take a quick break. Come back. We got a bonus Legally Served coming your way next.
So my first king cake is going to be after this radio show. I'm going to go get some Nanette Mayhall cake, raspberry with a little bit of cream cheese inside. Oh my God! Now, this large king cake goes for about $50, $48. I don't know what the fair market price is for a large king cake.
It's not $50.
It's less.
Yeah.
Her cakes are that good.
I've heard, mostly because I pay attention when I produce the Go Rouge show.
Her stuff is good.
But I've heard that this Mayhall woman is, she's got some game.
She's got some game, strong game. I'll bring some next week. I may bring some tonight. Are you producing tonight? Who's doing Go Rouge tonight?
Me.
I'm just sorry for you.
Why?
I'm just sorry for you. That's prime date time.
That's what?
That's prime date time.
It's how much I care about the product, Franz. It's how much I care about the show, and that's how much I care about you. Chuck P. Ripping the microphone the way I do.
Ozark or Yellowstone?
Ozark all day. Yellowstone.
So here's the thing. I watched season 1 and 2 of Yellowstone. And then I didn't have cable anymore to watch it.
Yeah.
So I'm getting back into I bought season 1. I'm going to watch it season 2. I've heard mixed reviews about 3 and 4. So, but I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. Ozark is really, really good.
Ozark's great. And the first part of the final season starts like in 2 weeks. I like the story of Yellowstone. I hate every character on Yellowstone. There's not a redeemable person on that show. Yes.
It was good. Good.
I'm underwhelmed so far. Really?
Well, it's only 2 episodes in, and they're short episodes.
Yeah. Like 50 minutes. Man, came out so strong though, and like I don't care. Like, all right, cool. That's how I got on the Starlight Pit. Great. Let's focus on the story now. I'm not worried about his past.
Honestly, I think the flashback scenes are the most engaging part.
See, that's the part I'm like, ugh.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's cool giving Tusken Raiders like an actual like character.
Yeah, and they're going to come into play at some point.
I don't know. I like where it's going so far, and I know it's going to pay off later.
It will for sure.
I'm going over the top on this one.
For sure.
Like hyperbolic and then some. So, I'm just warning you.
No, bring it. Absolutely. I'm going to have trouble because I don't disagree with you. I want to fight. Like, I think it would be more fun if we...
What's the male term for Karen? Kevin?
Is it? I thought it was Chad. Or is Chad's a frat guy?
The Chad.
Kevin is the female character, the male character.
Or Bill.
Took me a second.
Maybe.
Wow.
819 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. It's time for a bonus Legally Served. It's time to welcome in attorney Franz Borghardt. I'm going to ask you for 30 seconds for setup before you dive in because I know you're ready to dive in.
I'm ready.
First of all, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, guys. Glad to be back.
Go Rouge tonight at 6.
Dude, I'm hyped up, man. I'm
You
hyped.
ought to be. You ought to be hyped up.
I call it primetime drive. It's not really primetime drive.
It is primetime drive.
Is it?
It is.
6 to 7?
It is. You don't have a hair on your you-know-whats if you don't open your show by saying, I'd like to thank Jay Ducote, my opening act.
Okay, let's jump into this.
Okay. A 9-year-old was sent home his first day back at school. I'm telling you, better do it. A 9-year-old was sent home his first day back at school for the spring semester after refusing to wear a mask inside a classroom. The fourth grader at ULab School, located on LSU's campus, was suspended Tuesday for refusing to comply with the school's masking policy. Quote, a student refusing to follow the mask mandate is a health concern and a disruption in the classroom, and therefore they are not allowed to stay on campus, an LSU spokesperson said in a statement Wednesday. Now, the school said the offense escalated to an out-of-school suspension since a student refusing to wear a mask would not be allowed back on campus. Kyle Robichaux's the kid's dad. He says, I have some concerns that education is not their priority, but controlling our children controlling our children is their priority, and I think that's a big problem. Attorney Franz Borghardt.
I wish I had a trophy because I would like to give an award to the Kevin and Karen parents of this little fourth grader for weaponizing their child in their political warfare that they're waging. That, by the way, since the dawn of the pandemic, this has been going on. We've kind of resolved this. We've kind of settled this. Kudos to you for weaponizing your child and making him the victim of your political angst. Because now, ultimately, the child is the one who pays for your weaponization of him. This is ridiculous.
All right.
This is absolute. I'm sorry, Brian.
All right.
From a legal standpoint, it's your kid. I get it. But I just we've fought this fight already, right?
We fought this fight multiple times. In fact, one guy who has fought this fight over and over again and lost over and over again is accused of trying to run a guy over with a bus.
Pastor,
Pastor damn near ran her over.
I'm not. Look, I don't know these people. So my hyperbolic rant. They could be really good people. They could and it does modify for me if the kid has a health issue. If this kid has an asthmatic.
No, I'm going to work under the assumption that he doesn't. Because Pops would have led with that. He would have led with that. Rather than, this is about control. Look, there's a huge Facebook group about getting rid of masks across the board, but especially in the schools. A friend of mine invited me into it, so I joined the group. just so I could follow along with where the argument was going to see if there was legitimacy behind the argument or if it's the whole, like if it's a lot more Alex Jones than it needs to be. It's a lot more like the government's trying to like microchip us types of stuff. Which, if you want to argue things that are trackable, like things that are you can have hard data on. If you want to argue things that, like, if you want to argue the efficacy of a mask, that's all fine and good. But you do it outside of the realm of making your kid ostracized within his classroom.
So what do you tell all the other parents in that classroom? What's the way of justifying to them that you're in some way special and better than them, and your kid shouldn't have to wear a mask, and should, by the way, expose them? Now, theoretically, if they're wearing masks, they shouldn't be exposed, theoretically. But I just, to me, I hate to say this is old news, but feels like it's like someone who, I want to give these parents a hug, like, what's going on? Are you okay?
I'm about to turn a corner that's going to make you a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
This is a fourth grader.
Yeah.
I don't want my fourth grader having a political stance on anything. I don't want my fourth grader having a political stance on masks any more than I want my fourth grader to be introduced as people's pronouns. It's a fourth grader.
I don't like children being weaponized. I've never liked it. I'm in the criminal justice system. I've seen it happen there. I've seen it happen in family court proceedings. I am always disappointed when parents try to use their children. How old's a fourth grader, by the way?
9 or 10.
9 or 10.
Mine's 9.
Yeah. And by the way, does a 9 or 10-year-old have the intellectual means or capability?
That's my point.
Yeah, to formulate a decision on whether or not to wear a mask or not? No.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right. I don't see a fourth grader wearing like a Che Guevara T-shirt, going on a hunger strike. No more Lunchables!
So from a legal standpoint, what's going to happen?
That's where we need to take the conversation, because this is, after all, legally served.
I feel better now that I've ranted a little.
Not two guys hyperbole.
So what happens is they're going to be able to appeal up the system to the school board, and I suspect the school board's going to support the lab school.
Yeah.
They could file a lawsuit at some point, or what they could do is find a alternative learning venue for their son, or their child, that will accommodate their Kevin and Karenism, their weaponization of him, maybe stay home learning, maybe some kind of virtual learning. I don't see this playing out legally to where they're going to have much of a leg to stand on, unless, of course, they can show that their policies are so ambiguous, so overbroad or vague, in some ways deficient. I don't.
Honestly, though, at this point, looking at the record, we were talking about the Harlem Globetrotters before. This is like you'd be the Washington Generals of that argument. At this point, it is what remember NFL coach Denny Green? They are who we thought they were. When it comes to the masking, especially in schools, it is what you knew what this was going in. You knew what this was. You knew what this was going in. And there's another part of this too, though. I don't send my kids to the lab school, but don't you have to ask to go into that?
I think it's public, though. I think it's public.
No, it's public for sure, but it's not like random. Like
right. You have to be admitted. So the question that was posed to me by a colleague was, should we look at the college sporting rules, like LSU basketball, where you don't have to mask up?
Because we're talking about LSU still. It's the U lab school.
And look, I wasn't at the Kentucky game. Sadly, I gave my ticket.
Yeah, but your picture was on the big screen, I'm sure. Like it was last night 4 times with you and Fisher. Like, I'm taking pictures of my whole 4th grade team over here.
This is because I have the highest numbers, besides you, highest numbers in the morning. Like, when Haggai's numbers pick up a little bit, he gets to get on the big screen.
I mean...
So, my question is, should LSU have a universal policy? Sporting events? I mean, like the Garth Brooks concert that's coming up. Are we going to be all masked up for that? I didn't.
No, it's outdoors.
It's outdoors, right?
It's outdoors.
So so we can say outdoors is different. PMAC, indoor event.
We're going to
sit next to people. Mm-hmm. Should you have to wear a mask in that?
The governor was wearing a mask last night, although he did say in his press conference he was not going to the Saints game because of COVID, but he did go to the PMAC. Which brings me around to, no, you should not have to wear a mask unless there's a statewide mask mandate. No, you should not have to wear a mask in the PMAC because you don't have to go. You don't have to go. You're not going to be ticketed with truancy if you don't go to the LSU women's basketball game. Though you should be ticketed with truancy if you don't go to the LSU women's basketball game because it's a dynamite ticket.
What's their ranking now?
Well, they
top
were
25?
they were 13th going into last night. They lose to number 1 by 6 points. I don't think they're going to drop too much in the polls because they just balled out. I was so impressed. That being said, though, inside the Maravich Assembly Center is not the same ventilation system that's inside a classroom. Inside the Maravich Assembly Center, you don't have to be there like you do. You are required to go to school.
Isn't there a life lesson opportunity here with teaching your kids about the value of following rules? Because what is the life lesson being taught here?
Okay, now I will push back on this, and now I will take up for Kyle Robichaux.
Okay.
Because there's also life lessons to be taught in teaching your kids to stand up for what they believe is right.
So if the kids can formulate a belief, then
Yes. No, we're not there yet. This is like when they're in high school or whatever. There is a life lesson to be taught there as well. I don't think a 4th grader is taking this stance.
I think this falls into the BC Boys fought for your right
to party.
So
parties are discouraged right now.
I'm just going to go. I'm going to come full circle. From a legal standpoint, I don't know that it's going to this is going to go anywhere other than these individual parents, again, in my belief, have weaponized their child to the detriment of his education.
Yeah, his education's going to be just fine.
He's going to miss some. He's going to miss. Well, probably so.
Yeah.
Kid and Kevin. I mean, Kevin and Karen's generally can get good educations for their kids. But my point is while a 4th grader's not doing calculus, he's not learning if he's suspended. I want to just look at these people and say, shut up and put the mask on.
Okay, so I get you there. Now, we do need to make sure we're fair to the full argument. Now, I'll go ahead and even though it's not my personal take, I will represent the take just to be sure. This fella's not alone in his fight.
Sure.
He's not alone. There is a huge number of people that argue on a daily basis the efficacy of the masks. Last hour, we had audio from Joseph Cantor talking about the efficacy of the masks and how they're not protecting the person that wears them as much as they're protecting the people around them. And there is no study that will show you higher than a 50% efficacy for the cloth masks.
People around these kids?
Other kids. Mm-hmm. And who's dying of COVID? 1/100th of 1% of the children infected.
So then my argument would turn on, okay, if you don't believe in the efficacy, what is your problem with having to wear a mask?
If you don't, it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
And orders you have to follow just because you have to follow.
You're okay if
now,
a kid has to wear a uniform?
I was going to say, let's be completely fair. You and I both went to Catholic high schools.
Yeah.
So we're pretty good at keeping the hair off the ears and the shirt tucked in. I mean, yeah, our upbringing.
Listen, I cherish my Catholic education, and I'll say this. I still look back and wonder, why did I have to wear a collar shirt and slacks? However, that was the rule.
It was the rule.
Part of the exercise was what? Following rules.
And part of the exercise was respecting your adults as well.
Right.
And yeah, I see from that angle, and if they were taking that angle, if you're teaching a kid that authority doesn't matter.
So the universal problem with a Karen and a Kevin is they don't want the rules to apply to them, but they want to enforce rules when it's other people to their benefit. That is generally the trend. There's a TikTok video right now of a woman, a Karen, quote unquote, who's trying to get some dude out of a swimming pool in a property owners, in a homeowners association kind of scenario. Mm-hmm. Where, like, this one dude's just doing laps, and she's doing it, and she's trying to enforce these pool rules about the time of night it is. Karens and Kevins want to enforce rules when it benefits them, mm-hmm. and then don't want the rules to apply to them when it's about them. That is by nature the trend, right?
Yes. We got to get out of here. We got news coming your way. We've already missed CBS, so we're going to get our local news. 2 things before we get out. First and foremost, avoid the Karen videos on TikTok. It is a time suck and a rabbit hole, and TikTok's algorithm will see that you like them and give you more of them. Okay. Secondly, Go Rouge show tonight, 6 p.m. Chris Myers is going to be on from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation.
I'm going to send Chris Myers, Terry Ellis, and I got to send Jay Ducote a king cake for warming up the drive time for me. So it's,
6 o'clock tonight. We'll see you then, Franz. Right now, here's news. Chuck P's up next. Hey.
You know that old song, I don't know if it's you or we can make it happen, we can make it happen.
Yeah. I don't know if it's we can make it happen, you can make it happen. I know the song was big years ago.
I know you can make it if you try.
You
can make it if you try. Oh, my dad would beat my ass if he knew
You
I
know
couldn't
what I'm
find
talking
this.
about.
I know what you're talking about.
You're pretty good with that. All right.
Yeah, no. I fail you regularly in that regard. Because you'll walk in and be like, what's the Barry White song? It goes, da-da-da.
I got it that time.
You did get that one.
Oh, man.
I revived the Joey K this morning.
You did?
With the John Cena music and all of it.
You should never let it go. You got to keep that at all times.
Joe Byron?
Joe Byron.
My 14-year-old daughter has seen that video and friggin' loves it. But there's a lot that she should not know about.
There's a lot you can do. You can give them a computer or a cell phone.
See if you can find the Mandalorian music to come in.
Just go to my Spotify and just type in the Mandalorian. I have a... Yeah, if you type in the Mandalorian, they'll have the soundtracks on there.
Hey, anybody know a song called We Can Make It Happen? Rich needs your help. Well, actually, he needs your help in 45 seconds from right now, so it's too late. Oh, I got to turn the volume off. Boy, the latency on YouTube is much less than Facebook.
Yes, a lot less. Mariah Carey? Chicago,
No.
We Can Make It Happen?
Who sings You Can Make It If You Try? My dad used to play that on the piano all the time. On the way in, yeah. Let me do weather first, though.
The weather. No, I
Yeah,
wouldn't-
let's skip it on
I
YouTube.
wouldn't put it on YouTube.
They got yours like
Oh, so somebody called it. I should have told you to grab that phone call that came in the last segment. It might have been the guy the story was based about, and that would have just been awesome to have him on. Hey, Jeff Johnson's watching us in Green Bay this morning. What's happening, dog? Miss you.
Jeff.
Deborah says more legally served. Yeah, happy to help you out there. If we can get 2 in a week. Hey, look, it's every Wednesday at 6:35. Sometimes when the news trumps everything, we run with a bonus one. Galen says the value of the COVID vaccine is highly overrated. Those numbers don't bear that out, Galen. Especially for children. In early 2021, I became fully vaccinated because I feared the disease more than the vaccine. Now it's the opposite. I understand your fear being the opposite now. No, I don't. No, I don't. Show me the number of show me the number of fatalities because of the vaccine. I mean, if you're going to fear anything in this, it's not sickness, it's death, right? There have been 0 deaths in Louisiana as a result of the vaccine. There's been some in India because they've been having that vaccine from Wish.com.
Yeah.
But
I fear death more than I fear growing a third limb.
That's depends on the limb. Hey-o! I've been in such a Friday mood. Oh.
That's good because it's Friday.
I started off the show dropping an F-bomb like before we were on the air.
Oh, okay.
Before we were on the air. No. Come to me right. Are we back in right now?
Yeah.
Come to me. Grabbing your forecast heading into the weekend. Yes, we started out much colder this morning than we have the last couple days, though not as cold as the beginning of the week. 39 degrees right now in downtown Baton Rouge. What is this looking like for the weekend? Well, we're getting up to 56 today, getting up to 72 tomorrow. However, along with that 72 degrees, we also have a 72% chance of rain. That ties in nicely. How's it going to affect your day tomorrow? Well, right smack dab in the middle of the day. Looks like the rain's going to kick in at about noon and carry with us until 3-ish. And then the percentage chance of rain tapers off after that. Well, that rain that's coming, and it's going to kick back in, about a 40% chance of rain kicking back in tomorrow night. Now, that rain Saturday is going to be around with thunderstorms on Sunday, and it's going to reset that cold cycle that we've been seeing over the last couple weeks. Your high on Monday is only 58. Your overnight low Monday night is 38, down to 36 on Tuesday night. So, this time of year in Louisiana, rinse, repeat, and that's just the way winters are up until hopefully we'll get some clear weather once the parades start rolling. Hopefully the parades roll. Everything's safer outdoors, right? Right now, 39 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. There is so much on-demand content. It is literally impossible to keep up with all of it. Unless you're one Charles Pierce.
Ta-da!
Chuck P. in the house. Podcast being added to the Saturdays on Demand lineup right here on Talk 107.3. We have spoken.
Yes.
Welcome aboard, sir. How
Hey,
are
buddy.
you? Nice to have you back in daylight hours again.
I know it's good. Good to be here on the mornings with Brian Haldane Joe.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Now, you were supposed to be in while Jake was out, but you decided to COVID up and get your own vacation?
Yeah, I figured 2 days for Christmas just wasn't enough, and I wanted a whole week of just coughing and running fever and stuff. So
How bad was it?
it wasn't really bad.
Really?
The Sunday morning that I woke up, where I had body aches and had chills, I was running a fever and coughing. The fever broke by like noon. The rest of the day I was just tired, so I just laid around. And then Monday, Tuesday was congestion, cough, sore throat, and then from Wednesday on it was just a cough. And the cough's still lingering, but I was fine.
I've been told some people have said it's comparable to a cold. Some people have said, and this was my favorite description of the Omicron variant, it's a lot like having a cheap whiskey hangover after you're done puking.
Ooh, wow, yeah, okay.
After you're done
sense.
puking, you got the tickle in the throat,
Yeah,
makes
the
you
tickle.
cough.
Yeah.
You just want to lay down. Your body aches. You don't know why. Why do I have a scab on my calf? I don't understand. Did I bleed last night?
That's
What is
my-
this about?
It's my big toe like black and blue. Like, what's going on here?
Omicron, the cheap whiskey hangover that is Omicron.
It is. My initial thought when I woke up feeling like that was like, oh, man, don't tell me I have the flu. Like, I didn't even think about COVID. I just thought I had the flu because it felt like the flu.
Well, they're calling it flu. Well, there's flu-ronas floating around right now.
Yes.
Which, if you have Omicron, you can still catch the flu and get the double dose or whatever. But I guess that just makes you superhuman afterwards. Like, you know. It's like
X-ray vision.
Yeah. It's like being bit by a radioactive spider.
Yes.
Speaking of
Spiders.
yes, new podcast. Is it new or y'all been out for a little bit?
We started, it's myself and my friend Michael Grimion, we started the podcast for season 2 of The Mandalorian. I don't know why we didn't decide to do it when The Mandalorian first came out, but I was like, hey, I want to do a podcast about The Mandalorian. So obviously we titled it We Have Spoken because it's a line from one of the characters in season 1. And initially we were just going to do just The Mandalorian, just Star Wars content on Disney Plus.
Okay.
But then all the Marvel stuff started dropping. So
Yeah.
I feel like we need to cover this as well. So we kept the name, and we have a logo that's just our generic logo for the podcast itself. But then for every show that we do, we call those seasons. So right now we're on season 6. We're doing the Book of Boba Fett that dropped last week. And I have a friend of mine, Ross Marcotte, who designs graphics for each season. So it's themed after whatever show we're doing, and it has our We Have Spoken podcast name in it and stuff. So, yeah, we've been doing it since season 2 of The Mandalorian. And we are now part of the Guarantee Podcast Network as well.
That's awesome. By the way, check out the Guarantee Podcast Network.
Yes.
We have content that covers so much ground, from We Have Spoken to Cool Story Bro to AVB. Jake's soccer podcast is on there.
Nice.
There's
Great,
got a
Jake.
ton of content coming from our sports station. Is Michelle Only Louisiana's on
Only
there.
Louisiana's on there as well.
Which, by the way, look,
Oh, it's a great
unabashed
podcast.
fan. Unabashed fan.
Yes.
She is so undervalued. We were lucky to have that, her as a talent, her as a friend, and her as a content creator.
Well, she's like you. She has that connection and the resources from Louisiana Radio Network with all these stories and events that you guys have both been involved with that y'all could turn into podcast stories. So it's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
She's just better at it.
She's so good.
I mean,
she's so good.
Anyway, the Guarantee Podcast Network is here for a lot more than just the unabashed nerddom that you bring to the table, and I say that with love.
No, and I realized like my two loves in the world besides my kids are craft beer and geek stuff. So I have both of my podcasts on the Guarantee Podcast Network. I'm wanting to do another podcast that's completely different from any of that. I don't know what that's going to be yet or who I'm going to team up with because I'd like to do it with someone. I think you and I could do something really cool. I just don't know what it would be.
So we had plans to do the cinematic education of Patty G.
Yes, definitely.
That needs to come to fruition at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what would be great? Would be like teaming you up with all the local haberdashers and get you in something other than a black T-shirt.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could definitely do with a wardrobe upgrade for sure.
Yeah. And like a spinoff of the shopping montage from Pretty Woman, turning that into a podcast.
Yeah.
Pretty Chuck P.
I thought about maybe I should sign up for like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy or something.
That could work.
And give me a wardrobe fix.
That could work.
I'm very round. So, black hides it well, which is why I wear black all the time.
Well-rounded sounds better than very round.
Yeah, I like that better. I'll go with that.
We're on the Boba Fett now, right?
Book of Boba Fett. So
I like to call him Boba Fett to make him sound like he's from the South.
But like he's from Livingston Parish.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Book of Boba Fett. It's basically Boba Fett returned in the second season of The Mandalorian. So this is his continuing story from that. It's showing how he escaped the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi because everybody wrote him off. You fall in that thing, you die just for 1,000 years, you're done. He was able to get out of it. Jabba the Hutt died in Return of the Jedi. Leia choked him with a chain. So
at the same time that he fell into the Sarlacc pit.
Yes, while that was happening at the same time.
Fight.
So eventually there was a power vacuum for the mob on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
So Boba Fett comes back to take it over and kind of he wants to rule with respect instead of fear. So it's his story about how he's starting to navigate through the crime world on Tatooine and set himself up as the boss and get with all these other people. And it's also flashing back to show what happened to him after he got out of the Sarlacc pit. How did he regain who he was? And it's a very interesting story. The first 2 episodes are out right now. I think there's 7 episodes altogether. They come out every Wednesday on Disney+.
All right. So we're talking about the many saints of Tatooine.
Basically, I mean,
it's
that's how I also describe Yellowstone. Yellowstone is like The Sopranos, but on a ranch in Montana.
Yes. Haggai said the same thing.
Yeah, but the characters.
Oh, by the way, you were off mic earlier. Ozark versus Yellowstone.
Ozark all day.
By the way, sound off on our YouTube chat if you have not yet sounded off. We're unofficial poll: Ozark versus Yellowstone. Ozark's winning this it's a runaway. I mean, we're all in love with Marty Byrde.
I tell people I hate watch Yellowstone because I like the story, but I hate every character on it because they are all there's non-redeemable.
The last 2 seasons of Breaking Bad, there was nobody redeemable.
No, but for some
I hated the son, and he's from Louisiana.
No, the one person that was redeemable was Aaron Paul's character. He was the one. He had been through so much, and he was like he was the one
storyline jumped the shark.
I don't know. I don't know if it did or not, but like his character
and
compared
El
to
Camino
else's,
sucked.
El Camino was not good. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that. But Ozark reminds me a lot of Breaking Bad. There's a lot of similarities.
Early Breaking Bad.
Yes.
No, absolutely. And I will. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers out because the new season of Ozark is going to come out. And when a new season comes out, that's when people get on board that weren't on board before. So no spoilers. But
January 21st, part 1 of the final season.
There is one character in Ozark that I really wish hadn't been killed off. That was killed off. So early on.
Early on. Okay.
We'll talk about it off air.
Okay.
Anyway, so question about Boba Fett.
Yes.
How did he become so popular? Like of the Star Wars trilogy. The idea of Boba Fett being legend versus any other character that could have grown into its own thing, I don't understand. I don't remember him talking, or maybe not much, but I don't remember him talking.
Yeah.
his character was very flat.
He had a couple of lines in Empire Strikes Back. He didn't say anything in Return of the Jedi. Between those two,
No, he did. He said,
Wait,
"Ah!"
yeah, he did that. Between those two movies and the Star Wars Christmas special, where he made his first appearance, a total screen time of like 7 minutes, and it was just like, who is this guy? Why is Darth Vader pushing for him to go get Han Solo out of all the other bounty hunters they were talking to? And I think that was part of it. Like, why was he so mysterious? And then they created a race of people called the Mandalorians from the planet Mandalore, obviously.
Yeah.
And the armor that they wore is the armor that Boba Fett wears. But he is not a true Mandalorian. Neither was his father, Jango Fett. He was
Right.
a foundling, which is what the Mandalorian on the Disney show is. He was found by Mandalorians and raised in that family.
And so Jango Fett was the one that all the clones were made out of.
Yes. Boba Fett is the one request he had when they used his DNA for the clones. He wanted an unchanged clone. Like
Right.
he want no effects to it. Like, let him grow naturally, as opposed to like speeding the aging process up to build this army.
So Disney's dropping these 1 week at a time instead of the full season to let you binge.
Yes.
Do you have a preference?
I mean, I enjoy when like Netflix drops a whole season of something like they did with Cobra Kai. I watched it in 2 days, the new season. But I also like the model, especially coming from someone who podcasts. It works better for me to have that content out every week instead of it all coming out at one time and I'm trying to hurry up and watch all that and create content for it.
So from an either-or perspective, I've got to love the traditional 1 week at a time, just like we had on TV.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, it was must-see TV, you know?
If you didn't have a VCR in your house and you didn't record that episode that week and you missed it, then you missed it.
Right. Like, we all ask the question, why should I have to wait another week when I get everything all at once? Well, once you've digested it all at once and you realize the sun's coming back up again, once you've digested it all at once, you realize there's not a whole lot of conversation to be had with your coworkers or your friends.
No, because you got to wait for everyone else to
Exactly.
catch up.
And if everybody's not on the same page, then the conversation... Well, no spoilers.
Yeah, don't say
no
anything.
spoilers.
Don't say anything.
Hey, can you hang out for one more segment?
Sure.
Okay, because we're due up to check your money now. We'll check traffic one more time. We'll come back and close it out. I want to broadening out to some other TV topics.
Okay.
That's coming up next. We got one more segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane before we hand things off to the Fox News Rundown, and then the Brian Kilmeade Show after that. So let's go ahead and check your money now. Coming up on 8:50 at Talk 107.3 FM. Here is your money now.
This thing's got one ear out.
It might be the attachment over there. There's a short.
Jesse Mapes.
Galen says myocarditis and other no complications from the vaccine. Yeah, I'll ask you about the vaccine the same way I asked about all the fear tactics about myocarditis from the start. Can you give me a percentage of people who have gotten it? Can you give me a number of people who have gotten it? I'm not going to get a name because of HIPAA, although we've blurred those lines like a son of a bee on the front end from the stupid COVID fear tactics to begin with. But myocarditis was blown out of proportion before the 2020 college football season, before we had a vaccine. It's the same playbook coming back this time around.
Chuck, one thing I would say about Boba Fett's coolness from like back in the day when he was first introduced, is not just because of the fact that he looked awesome,
Four
looks
per
really
thousand.
cool, but the fact that he worked for both Jabba
Galen,
and Darth
I'm not
Vader,
doubting
the most
you,
powerful
but
people
Ronald Reagan said
in
trust but
the galaxy.
verify. I'm going to go back and say
Darth Vader in Empire was killing everybody if they just looked at him.
Oh, we finally
He
got a
could talk back to
Yellowstone
him
vote.
And he would just get talked back to, not murdered.
Good morning.
Hello, boss.
Doing good. How are you?
Yeah, and once they developed the the Mandalorians and all that background, and you saw they were wearing the same armor that he was, then it was like, well, was he part of these people? Like, what's like
The-
they never
the
defined-
mystery is-
there's story like there's books that were written about Boba Fett getting out of the Sarlacc pit and getting back with bounty hunters and doing all that stuff, but that is no longer canon in the Star Wars universe. That's part of the Legends.
It's called
Yeah,
Legends.
well, where does the
but
Christmas special come down in the canon?
Oh, it does not. It does. They refuse to.
Even-
It's like
even
Voldemort.
old
He
canon
should
doesn't
not be
acknowledge
named.
it as canon.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about that.
What Christmas special?
It's terrible.
I watched it just as a Star Wars fan. I owed it to myself to at least see it. It was horrible.
There's no there's no dialogue in the first 20 minutes of this thing. They're on the Wookiee planet. The Wookiees are talking. There's no subtitles for 20 minutes.
It's just
Who's going to subtitle a Wookiee?
But like you gotta put somebody in there talking English. 20 minutes, nothing.
Right.
But it also
Like, what
looks
is
like a
going on?
standard like Midwestern family, but they're Wookiees.
Yeah.
If I'm
And
not
the kid's
mistaken.
name is Lumpy. Like that's the best name you can come up with.
Lumpy?
Lumpy.
Stupid.
Well,
The
I mean,
author's in there running a cantina. Like what's going on here?
Then like Princess Leia starts singing
Art
at some point.
Art Carney's in there as like some kind of I don't know. It's like it had the weirdest people involved in it. Jefferson Starship was like playing music somewhere. I don't know. It was
So Chuck, did you know that when they started making Empire, they built the Boba Fett suit with the intention of making like upgraded stormtroopers, making them like
Yeah,
a
that's
whole
what-
new army? But
the
they
initial
realized
suit was
after
white.
they made the first one, they realized in the budget they didn't have enough to make enough for like an army.
yeah.
And so they were just like, okay, well we just have this one suit, let's just make him a character.
I'm disappointed every morning that I wake up and realize I don't have enough to make an army.
It's very
It
depressing.
is
it's really upsetting.
slap in the face of reality. Like, you know, I had a shot on Wednesday with 2 Powerball tickets.
Close.
There's $4 donated.
Yeah. 2 people won it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like $650 million or something like that. It's like, ugh. I always complain about it, but then I never buy lottery tickets, so I can't really complain
So
about it.
I'm the dumbass that like wants to go back and buy 2 tickets for tonight's drawing
Yeah.
or tomorrow, whenever the next Powerball is, because
Tomorrow.
like nobody else is buying them. I'd get to have this. It's a smaller jackpot
Yeah,
to
it's
be
like
sure,
20
but I'll get
million.
it to myself.
Cool, 20 million.
Yeah, I'm fine with 20 million. I'm fine with $1 million.
Yeah,
I don't care.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If you want to walk by and like drop 100 on the ground,
Yeah,
I mean, like I'll pick it up.
I'm in for it.
I mean, I'll let you know it was your 100, but
Yeah.
you know,
Now it's my 100.
if you want to Sonny Corleone me, break my camera and drop a few bones on the ground,
There
I'm
you go.
picking them up.
Yeah, easily.
And by the way, you got to clarify that because if you say if you want to Sonny Corleone me, it often involves a garbage can.
Yeah, you gotta-
that's a bad scene. The wedding scene from The Godfather. The FBI's there taking the pictures of the license plates. Sonny breaks the camera and then pays for it talk about a whip your D out sort of moment.
Yeah.
That level
What
of
are you gonna do?
badassery.
Yeah, I'm breaking the shit and I'm gonna pay for it.
Exactly.
They couldn't have been more clever with that though. Like, I mean, they were just like right up there taking pictures. Like,
It's
well, I
not,
guess they had micro.
they didn't have like camera phones back then. You know,
but,
it's like
30 seconds.
they didn't have long telephoto lenses. They could have been in a
yeah,
tree
like
somewhere.
you basically get the guy holding the big flash up like the old westerns. Like, what's a million ways to die in the West? You ever seen somebody smile in a picture? No, you look like a crazy person.
Nobody smiled back then. In those
Nobody. And then he finally sees somebody and they do look like a crazy person.
It's like,
Oh god.
that was good.
Dude, you know what I want HBO Max to do?
What?
Well, let's get into this. We're going to broaden this out beyond the Disney stuff that y'all are covering.
Okay.
So. $8:56 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Closing things out. Chuck P, nice enough to stick around for one more segment before we dive back in. I had promised that this last segment was going to go back to LSU women's basketball, so I'm going to
Okay.
lead with that for a minute and a half.
Sure.
Have you been to a game yet?
I have not. I want to
Bro,
go. I want to.
I'm going to actively scold you right now.
Okay.
Take Ridley to a game.
No, I want to. I absolutely want to.
Prioritize this.
It's just it's hard because it normally felt like when I'm available to do something like that, it's on the weekends that I don't have her. And then
Gotcha.
during the week, it's too hard because it's like right after work, I have to drive all the way out to Prairieville, pick her up, come back. It's like, but I do wanna
we're
take
going to
her.
settle this right now. Jake, going to need you to fill in on a Thursday. I need you to take over the J.D. Cody show for Chuck.
Okay,
and
there
then
you go.
if Taylor doesn't come in for Kevin. No, Kevin's on Wednesdays now
on Wednesdays.
because the game preempts his show. This
Yes.
makes it easier. Okay. I'm going to need you to fill in on a Thursday.
Done.
So that, let's see, when's the next one? Last night. Sunday, they're on the road at Auburn. Thursday, January 13th. 7 p.m. LSU hosting Missouri. You'll hear it right here on Talk 107.3, or you can see Chuck inside the PMAC.
There you go. I'll take off work early that day, so I don't because Jake's going to cover me on. Jake's
I'll get
show.
with Cade. I'll make sure you're good.
There you go. Awesome.
All
Perfect.
right. All right. Did you see the jacket she was wearing last night?
I didn't see any of the game last night.
Yeah. Okay. So, baller performance by the girls. They were awesome.
They lost though, right?
By 6 to the number 1 team in the country.
I mean,
they covered the spread.
Yeah.
So, do you remember the movie Caddyshack 2?
Oh God.
You remember Jackie Mason's jacket that he wore to that formal
Yeah.
thing? From this angle, blue over here, purple, beautiful. That was it.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
Whew.
All right.
Caddyshack 2.
Back into TV real quick, because this is I don't get to talk TV enough because I've watched very little of it.
Yes, unless it's Blue Bloods.
Unless it's Blue Bloods. I want to see HBO Max start to bring back the classic HBO shows. Not just reintroduce previous episodes, but go the full reunion tour.
Well, it'd be hard to bring back the Gary Shandling show since
obviously,
he's passed.
Obviously.
I mean, yeah, you could. You could bring back. I'd love to see Oz come
Sopranos
back.
has taken on a new form in its prequels.
Well, yeah, and there's talk of would David Chase signed a deal with HBO, so prequels could be happening.
I want 2 more though. There's 2 more that I have to have.
Okay.
3 if you really want to rewind the clock. Not necessarily the news, if you're really rewinding the clock.
I remember that. I love that show.
Dude, that was the Daily Show before there was a Daily Show.
Absolutely.
True Blood prequel.
Maybe.
And finally, Queens Boulevard.
Ooh, okay.
This would be a backstory on Vincent Chase from Entourage.
Okay. I like that. That would be cool. I'd like to see them do another season of The Wire. Bring The Wire.
So
back.
would everybody else.
I mean, you've lost a lot of characters. You lost Stringer Bell.
Yeah.
Idris Elba, but Michael K. Williams is dead, so you don't have Omar anymore. But still, I think that could be done well.
All right, we're gonna say goodbye to the on-air audience. Fox News Rundown's coming your way next. We're gonna stick around. What would you like to see come back? Sound off on YouTube. We're gonna take your comments right after we throw things to CBS News. Fox News Rundown. Kill me, Dave Ramsey, and J.D. Cody and Chuck P coming your way this afternoon. Have a great weekend. Oh, I forgot to promote comedian Dan Adut, who is on Cobra Kai and a new show on the Food Network, going to be on Monday. Friday. Coming up Friday, 1 week from today, 8:15.
Sweet.
Guess who's going to be on with me then?
Who?
How much stand-up comedy do you watch?
I watch a good bit. I watch a lot of stuff on TikTok.
There's a redneck comedian with long hair and a ball cap.
Okay.
Likes in between his jokes, he goes, "We're having a good time. We're having a good time."
All right.
His name is Dusty Slay. Have you ever heard of?
Yeah.
You know Dusty
Yeah,
Slay?
I know who that is.
Yeah. Got Dusty Slay
Nice.
on Friday.
Okay. Cool.
He's got a new show coming out, so he'll be promoting his new show. Going to talk to him about stand-up comedy through COVID, stand-up comedy in today's cancel culture.
Yeah.
His material is not controversial.
No.
He is. I like to say that if the Blue Collar Comedy Tour had a nerd and an honors class, it'd be him.
It'd be him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new Jim Gaffigan special on Netflix. It's really good.
I got to get Gaffigan on the show.
I love Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah. He's
So
so
funny.
good. Yeah. All right. So, bring back The Wire. I'm down with that.
No,
but
because-
HBO has had so many shows over the years.
A ton.
Like, I mean, they keep
they brought back
dragging
Sex
Sex
and
and
the
the City back
God,
out
yeah.
a million times over, which is just, it's tired. And I know I'm not the target demo for this, and I know another Entourage, they've done an Entourage movie, another Entourage would be to, it would be to me what Sex and the City is to its target demo. But if you can walk the prequel path by finding out Bill Compton's past on True Blood.
Yeah, how Vampire Bill became a vampire.
Yes. By the way, have you ever seen that actual plantation?
No.
The Bill Compton's house, Vampire Bill's house. So it's in North Louisiana.
Okay.
It's called
Yeah, I knew they shot up around Shreveport.
yeah. Well, it's I want to say it's in it. Yeah, they got Roseneath Plantation.
Okay.
Last time we went to, I shouldn't say the last time. God, this was forever ago. We went on vacation to Dallas. Not vacation. Christy had a work trip, so
Yeah.
had one of those.
Kind of vacation.
Right. What's the all-inclusive place with the water slides and all that? Something
Bear-
Wolf?
Yeah.
Grand Wolf? Lone Wolf? Something?
Great Wolf
Grateful Lodge,
something
yeah.
like that.
Well, right across the street from there is like this low-rent Wish.com version. It's called the Gaylord.
Yeah.
We stayed at the Gaylord, which had like 4 pools and a lazy river or some, and they had like a couple of like lame-ass water slides. Like you built a water slide in your backyard type water slide.
Duct tape. And
Yeah, so we stayed there. Got to take a picture of Kerrigan standing in the same place where Abraham Zapruder filmed Dealey Plaza. That was kind of cool.
That's cool.
Anyway, the drive up there, you can get to Roseneath Plantation from 49.
Okay.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. It's a shithole.
Really?
When we think of plantations, we think of like San Francisco and Nottoway and Oak Valley
yeah.
and these grandiose places that are just glorious to walk up to.
But a lot of them weren't.
Dude, 70% of Bocage is bigger than Roseneath.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I mean, like, what are we really talking about here? We're looking at like 3,200 square feet on this bad boy. What are we doing here? Like, it was really,
baths.
it was underwhelming. It was a really underwhelming experience. I was not impressed, but I got to see Vamper Bill's home.
Well, there you go.
Now, that being said, there's no graveyard next door.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. That's the magic of film right there.
How do you get to Sookie's house?
I
You go
don't.
through the
Yeah,
graveyard.
I don't know. The Stackhouse residence was not visible from there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like to see HBO bring back?
Jason Stackhouse in high school football. Like, yes.
The
Friday Night Lights meets True Blood.
wow, that there's a concept. Right
Holy
there.
crap!
I like
Vamper
that.
football.
Vamper football. That could be interesting. No, I want them to bring back how they used to do the intros for movies, where it's like the camera goes through the
Down the main
little
street,
model
the
of the town.
yes.
I loved that as a kid. I was like, this is great.
Oh, man, it
You
was
just got excited because like, ooh, the movie's started.
Right, but like it ate up 3 minutes before you actually got to the movie.
did,
You know,
yeah.
it was super duper long.
Yeah, it was huge.
So I'd like to see HBO Max walk down that path a little bit. Where
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about HBO.
No, come on. We're on YouTube.
Come on, Rich.
Can I ask you a quick question?
What you got?
On the copy points for BLMaxes, have you gotten anything new?
No, I got to text Mitch.
Okay, I was going to text him too. I didn't know.
So I saw him in between Christmas and New Year's, and I said, "Can I keep those year-end prices going through the next week into the new year?" He's like, "If they mention you heard about it on the show, sure." So that was all I didn't get anything new.
Okay,
I mean, he blows it out at the end of the year. Hey, look at
Bam. Look at
there
that.
you go.
It's a
Nice
solid.
timing.
Cool. All right.
But yeah,
Y'all have a great weekend.
you
All right,
too,
Rich,
Rich.
you too, man. But the good thing about HBO Max is they have all those old shows. Like before, the HBO Go app only had it had all their hits and a few of their shows. Then I wish they had not necessarily the news. If they went back that far, that'd be great. But the one series they do have on there, which I was having, you couldn't find it anywhere. You couldn't find it on DVD. It wasn't on regular HBO. But there's a Tom Hanks series on there called From the Earth to the Moon, and it's basically the history of NASA and how America started, like, got into the space race.
Interesting.
And it is great. It is a fantastic
So-
series.
I kind of want to see Tom Hanks completely retire from acting to take on a Ken Burns role.
He'd be great at it.
He has been so
Yeah.
far. I think he could. Well, I mean, there's so much more to World War II than we know, and what he did with Band of Brothers, and what he did with Saving Private Ryan, like,
Yes.
and then the World War II Museum in New Orleans, like everything he's done, everything he's touched in that regard, turns into excellence. The space race would be another. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it came out like in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it when it first came out, and it was like, this is incredible.
All right. Got the Wikipedia open, so I apologize. I'll be back on YouTube in just a second. Past HBO shows.
Okay.
Big Little Lies.
That's a few years ago.
Yeah, but, I mean, it was short-lived and probably needed to be. It was basically a movie with half a sequel
Yeah.
before it had run its course. Carnival.
Carnival was good. I loved Carnival, and it ended on a cliffhanger, so I'd love that to come back.
Deadwood.
They did a Deadwood movie to close out everything, and it was really, really good.
Deadwood was only on from 2004 to 2006.
It was only 3
I had
seasons.
no idea.
And it was fantastic.
We're skipping Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, the prequel's coming out this year, so that's kind of coming back.
Oz.
I'd love Oz to come back because I hated the final season. I didn't like the way it ended at all. It was very stupid.
6 Feet Under. Now, they did at the end where they fast-forwarded to show you where everybody died.
Yeah, but you could still there's still a time frame where you can go back and revisit those characters leading up to that point.
This one was a little more recent as well, but it was really, really good. The Deuce.
The Deuce was good, but I feel like I didn't watch the final season, but I feel from what I've heard, it wrapped up pretty neatly. So, but I mean, there's a lot of story you can tell with that.
One more on this list would be, and it's dated now because we're so far removed from Katrina, but Treme.
Yeah, Treme. I don't know, Treme. I felt like Treme kind of jumped the shark a little bit towards the
Jumped the
end of it.
ferry boat. John Goodman, hello.
Wow, I didn't see that coming.
Did I? Yeah, I kind of spoiled that one. But yeah.
Spoiler.
Nobody's watching Treme today.
Jay was on Treme.
No.
There's a.
I watched every episode of Treme repeatedly.
I don't remember what season it was, but there's
like as a character or just an extra?
He was an extra, but he's got camera time. It's the girl who was the chef who lived with Steve Zahn's character.
Yeah.
She was at she was in the fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
And one of the waiters said, "Hey, there's some food critics here," and he was like, "How can you tell there's food critics?" And she's like, "Cheap shoes. Look at their shoes. They wear cheap shoes." And it was Jay and two other people at this table, and they walk by her, and Jay's like walks right there on the screen and like waves and says bye. And she's like, she looks at her, she's like, "See, cheap shoes." I don't remember what season it was on, but he's on it.
All right, so a couple more to really dive in on. First and 10.
I was going to say First and 10. That'd be great to do. I mean, you basically have that with Hard Knocks.
Right. Oh, well, I mean, First and 10 is like the fictitious version of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Hard Knocks is more like training camp documentary.
And you could have Antonio Brown star in it.
Wow. Eastbound and Down needs to come back.
Yeah.
It ran its course, but I think we could get one more really good season of it.
Well,
I could feel it, Chuck. I feel it down in my plums.
The problem with Danny McBride's character.
Big purple juicy plums.
The problem with Danny McBride's
Fresh from the
character in
market.
Eastbound and Down is he plays that same character in the show in Vice Principals.
Yeah.
And he's kind of playing the same character in Righteous Gemstones.
I have not seen Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, you have to watch Righteous Gemstones. It is great.
I forgot Tenacious D was HBO.
Yeah.
Larry Sanders Show can't do it. What was the other one that I thought needed to come back, and now I'm not seeing it on here? Nope, not seeing it on here. Damn it. Oh. I don't know how it would play now, but I think you could have a totally new spin on it when the Saw series was as popular as the Saw series was. Tales from the Crypt.
I think they're doing Tales from the Crypt. No, they're doing Creep Show on Shudder, which is a streaming app that does nothing but horror stuff.
We get stuff from Shudder every Halloween for like. That's how I got the. I think it was through Shudder that I got the woman from. I got Deborah Voorhees.
Oh,
the woman who plays Deborah Voorhees.
yeah.
Yeah, I got her on the show to talk about the. What was the? I don't even remember the name of the damn movie now. It was way back in Halloween.
Is it a new movie that she's in?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think that one was. So
Yeah, they sent me a trail, like the link to the water stamped version of it. All right. Well, all right. That was the walk I wanted to take with the HBO Max, and
Cool.
I love it. We have spoken. I don't remember that line from The Mandalorian. I apologize.
It was a character in the first season, and like he would. It was Nick Nolte actually voiced the character, and he was helping the Mandalorian, and he would say something. He would say, "I have spoken." Like after he'd like, "We're going to go here and we're going to do this. I have spoken," and he would just like ride off in the Mandalorian and be like, "What the fuck? What do you mean?" I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Well, so I led off the show with talking about the anniversary of January 6th yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know why Joe Biden felt the need to have a press conference.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a Republican, so the more he could do to make Republicans look good, that's fine. I would
just has to
appreciate
wake
it.
up in the morning.
But there's a very small faction of the Republican Party that is so hell bent on anyway. The more Joe Biden brings up Donald Trump's name, the more he keeps him relevant.
Yes.
The more he keeps him relevant, the longer it's going to get into the midterms. So if you want to elect more Republicans, keep Donald Trump relevant all year long. So I didn't realize we were on yet. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Anyway, it wouldn't be the first F-bomb today. What do we got? Jeff Johnson says I baked a basket of cookies for Jeremy Bullock.
That
Back
was
in the 90s,
original actor
got
for
to meet
Boba
Jeremy
Fett.
Bullock. He was the okay,
He was
cool,
the original guy in the
wow, dude, that's awesome. Byron says this is a new thing. If so, I'm digging it. It will be every once in a while, not promised every week, but this will be a little bonus thing every once in a while. Galen says I have my vest on. LOL. I think that's a callback to something that I haven't scrolled back up to. Anyway, it's called We Have Spoken. It's on the Guarantee Podcast Network. He is Chuck P. coming your way. Y'all aren't going to Comic-Con today?
No, so a lot of people dropped out. A lot of celebrities dropped out just because of everything going on with Omicron.
Anyone in particular?
Yes.
Anyone
Kevin
silent that
Smith.
dropped out? Yeah.
But he dropped out. Ming-Na Wen dropped out, who is in Book of Boba Fett right now.
Okay.
I think Shatner dropped out. William Shatner was going to be there. There's like 8 big celebrities dropped out of it. A lot of the comic creators dropped out. They were debating if they were even gonna if they were gonna just cancel it until next year or just do like a Saturday and Sunday. But they decided to go ahead and do the whole weekend. And Jay and I just felt like, it's too much.
Why drive down there?
Yeah,
just to do the on location thing when there's everybody you were planning on talking to, everybody who had set to talk to was.
Yeah.
I mean, because you just listed at least 4 of the ones that I knew you were like. The only one you didn't list Michael Rooker. You said y'all had.
And I think he dropped out.
Sucks.
Yeah, it's. I was very disappointed, but at the same time, it's saving me a lot of money.
Oh, sure.
I had paid for a meet and greet with Kevin Smith, which I'm getting refunded for.
Nice.
But yeah,
Does that cost less now that he lost all the weight? You get to meet less of him.
That's still
okay.
Still a lot of money. Christina Ricci was going to be there. She canceled.
Wednesday Addams canceled.
Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, John Barrowman, who was on Arrow, Stephen Amell, who was Green Arrow on the show, he canceled. Alexander Ludwig, who was on Vikings, who's going to be on the new Vikings show that's coming out, canceled as well. So it's like,
bro, that would have been a hell of a show, man.
Yeah,
I'm not even a comic guy, and that would have been a hell of a show.
Yeah, it'd have been great.
That's
so.
All right.
Well, we're going to be in studio.
Bring it
today.
back in studio. I'm assuming trivia with Michael.
Trivia with Hatfield for happy hour at 5. We got some beers from Cypress Coast that are coming out this weekend. We're going to drink in hour 1 for on tap.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I guess we can call it the Comic-Con variant now.
Yeah, there you go.
Comic-Con
variant. I'm waiting for the Optimus Prime variant.
It's coming after the Voltron.
Oh.
The Voltron's when all the other variants form together.
Which one? The Lions or all the vehicles? Don't go for the lame one. Go for the Lions.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming. Hey,
Thank you,
YouTube,
sir.
y'all have a great weekend. We will see you Monday.